TruthSeekah and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles, psychics, everything's ungodly. Dark savage.
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian.
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark sided stuff.
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the TruthSeekah podcast. I'm your host, TruthSeekah. We're going to get it in. We're going to discuss all things spiritual on this podcast. This is what we do. Want to say a huge thank you to everybody who is supporting my work via Patreon. We're at the beginning of a new month, and couldn't do it without my monthly patrons, man, my partners who believe in the work. They believe in the music and what I'm bringing to the table, and have pledged their support to this show and to what we're building here. Thank you guys again from the bottom of my heart. This is a listener-supported show and could not do it without you guys. So shout out to you guys for making this happen, co-creating with me. It's beautiful. So some of the latest patrons within the last week or two here, give a shout out to Renitha, my friend Renitha. What's up, friend? How are you? Thank you for coming on board. Debbie George, shout out to you. And Kevin Maxwell. Thank you guys for believing in the work and coming on board. If you would like to support, you can go to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music. You get access to our Thursday night School of the Mystics, a bunch of other cool stuff that we have available over there, bunch of perks. Also, we just launched our weekly Sunday morning seer class. And so we just did the first one last Sunday, and it was beautiful. Led the class in breath work and just tapping into the spirit together, which was beautiful. So that is available on Patreon as well. So head over there, check out all the perks, and I'd love to see you there. Today's guest, Craig Woods from the UK. Craig, how's it going, man? Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very well, thanks. Yourself?
Oh, doing good, man. Doing a lot better today, actually. Had a weird day yesterday. You know, we had a new moon here, and the energies are usually really good, right? Usually, positive stuff and a good time to birth something new, start a new adventure. But for some reason, the energies was off yesterday, man. You're pretty big into astrology, right? What was up with yesterday? Was there anything in particular that we missed versus just the new moon?
Well, there was a new moon in Aquarius, and the ruler of Aquarius, Uranus, is about to change signs. I think it's in the very last degree of Aries, and he's about to move into Taurus. So the collective are feeling that movement right now. They're feeling the change, and it's going to be a very big change because Uranus, he stays in a sign for around 8 or 9 years. So it's every 8 or 9 years we feel the cycle change with Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of change, unexpected change. social revamps and reformation and stuff like that. So we're going to be seeing some big movements over the next couple of years once he changes sign. On a political standpoint, also like on a collective standpoint, because the outer planets, your Pluto, your Neptune, and your Uranus, they're really collective planets. They affect the collective consciousness more than the individual. So we're going to see some big changes over the next coming years.
Yesterday was really, really strange for me, man. I'm having a lot better day. So I just couldn't get motivated. I was in my feelings a lot. It's hard to create in that atmosphere, So having a lot better day today.
Well, for me, all energy is neutral. It depends on what we're doing with it. So you can say, "Oh, I'm having a bad day," and everybody has those days, of course. But it just depends on how we're looking and perceiving things, and that's really the essence of my book, which we're going to talk about now.
Yeah. So if you're having an off day, it's probably not a a good time or day to be around people. Maybe it's a day to kind of be a recluse, relax, get some R&R instead of trying to work and create and be busy, just because the energies are off a little bit, right?
Well, it's about, solitude does help. I mean, even just an hour of meditating just to recharge your energy levels and to recenter yourself. I always think that when we are having an off day, it's because we're out of balance, we're out of alignment. So the key is to just move back into balance and reconnect to that space within us, where the past or the external energies don't really have any power over us, any influence over us. So, it's about reconnecting.
Yeah. So just because the energy is a certain way and it's affecting people, it's kind of a choice if you're affected or not. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I believe so, because I remember like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was so obsessed with the full moon, and every full moon, it absolutely beat me up, like because I was unconsciously defining it as something that's scary. Oh, it's gonna, like, my mind would tell me, oh, it's gonna bring up more wounds. It's gonna, make me feel bad, blah blah blah. And of course, the full moon energy is intense. It can be, but it also depends on where it falls in your natal chart, because the full moon in each sign affects everyone in a different way. But also, like, the full moons don't really affect me anymore because I don't think about it. That's just the simple truth. I don't define it in that way. I just allow whatever needs to be, and stop unconsciously labeling, just natural cycles as something that is either life-threatening or something that's going to hit me. And that's why, like, when you look on websites like Facebook and you see these memes every month, blood moon or wolf moon or so,
Mercury retrograde and all that kind of stuff.
All that stuff is actually really suggestive.
Yeah.
And what people realize is that when you're scrolling through Facebook and you're reading it, most people unconsciously, subconsciously just believe what they read automatically, and that's how programming is accomplished. So once people are just scrolling through Facebook and reading these memes, or Mercury retrograde, it's going to bring up this, it's this, your plane's going to be late or whatever, then they're going to create that in their reality, because ultimately our reality is created by what we believe to be true. So these are suggestions. Everything's a suggestive tool in that sense. So it's very important to really always go back to neutral, go back to zero, because everything starts with us. The external circumstances, are neutral fundamentally. It's how we perceive them. So if you're perceiving a circumstance in a way that doesn't benefit you, if you're feeling out of balance, if you're feeling, like you're not having a good day, which is normal, of course, but like you said, it's better to just go back, be alone for a few hours, reconnect, center yourself. And the moment you change the way you feel, your perspective about everything will change automatically.
I don't know if you know this word, probably not. I had a friend of mine shared it with me in my on the Thursday night School of the Mystics. He shared this word. He's really big into Hebrew, but there was a Hebrew term that meant one who is not affected by the planets. He shared that with me. I thought it was cool in passing, but then the next day I wanted to go back to it and I couldn't find it. Have you heard of any terms or anything like that? I just thought it was beautiful.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, I have studied a little bit of the Hermetic, mysticism, but I'm not really too versed in Hebrew. Sorry, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, even this morning I looked up. Like, I'm not big into astrology. I guess I'm bigger into astronomy, but I looked up what was going on yesterday as far as like the horoscope. I looked and you're going to find different stuff on every website or whatever. And that was the whole thing about it being suggestive. And so I went to one that said, today my horoscope is like, you're going to be having problems with the computer, right? And all of this kind of stuff. And like, my computer's running just fine. So it's like kind of like implanting that thought for me to expect computer technical difficulties, to start expecting it and maybe create it just because that was suggested by some random astrologer on a website, right?
And that's the danger. I don't want to say danger, but that's what the influence of social media can have on us and our subjective reality. It's really important to take everything with a pinch of salt and use your own discernment instead of automatically believing in something just because it's on a meme. It's that simple, really.
So you have the book The Labyrinth, and you're talking about rewiring the mind, and I'm sure these little things we're talking about right now, just as something as small as scrolling Facebook and seeing memes and reading horoscopes for the day that's suggesting all these thoughts, to kind of like, I think the book has something to do with taking your power back and claiming your own space again. Like, what's the inspiration behind you writing that book?
That's a great question. I think I'm not alone in saying that I grew up believing I was someone or something that I'm not. At the time I reached 23, I'd been a drug addict for 9 years of my life, from the age of 14. And I just completely lost touch with who I was. I had no passions, no goals, no desires. As a child, I was so fascinated by all of this, the esoteric stuff, the mystical stuff. I would even search the stars every night for extraterrestrial ships. Like, as a 7-year-old, I was so curious, about all this stuff. And yeah, I just lost my way, like we all do. We've all got to go through a tunnel of darkness, and thankfully some of us come out the other end. And I just lost touch with who I was. I had a divine experience in January 2010, which made me pretty much stop everything I was doing. I was on cocaine, I was on ecstasy, I would smoke weed every other day. We would drink maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I just lived to fulfill those urges, because I was running away from myself. The reason why I was on those drugs in the first place is because I was running away from all the pain that I experienced during my childhood. So I had an experience where I had a big panic attack in bed because my conscience was just eating me alive. This was in January. And I had a huge panic attack. I thought I was going to die. I ran into my mother's room. I was like, help me, mum, help me. She helped me calm down. A few hours later, it was like 3 a.m. in the morning. So I looked out the window and I seen all these stars out in the night sky. And a shooting star flew across the sky. And I was like, wow, this is a sign. This must be it right now. And I felt this energy just shoot up my spine. Like I've never felt this energy before in my life. This energy just come over me. And it just made me feel so empowered. And I just told the universe, as I didn't beg, I didn't plead, I didn't ask. I told the universe that at this moment I was going to take my life back. And I've been clean from drugs ever since. I went to bed in that state and I woke up a completely transformed person. And yeah, the rest is history, I guess. But that was just the start of it, really, because the moment I stopped taking all the drugs, I had to face all of the issues that I was suppressing with them, and that's been the influence and the inspiration behind me writing this book, because, I feel as if I've found my true self again, my childlike self. who I was before the world conditioned me to conform with its ways. So, yeah, that's the inspiration behind it.
Wow. That's interesting, man. Just a quick question before we go deeper. You said you've seen the shooting star, but at the same time, you had this awe and wonder to look to the stars for ET extraterrestrial life. Do you think that it was a shooting star, or was it a ship? Was it one of the messengers saying hello? Your life is about to change.
You know what? That is an amazing question, and I've never actually thought about that. You know, I do believe it was a shooting star, even though I'll go on record and saying I have had extraterrestrial experiences. But that's a subject for a whole other time. Yeah, I seen a shooting star, and that was a message for me.
The ET experiences are actually for this time. I want to hear about them. we can get into the book, but I love the ET stuff as well, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that we're not alone. You know, they've been coming here for thousands of years, observers, and I do believe, though, a lot of the propaganda, a lot of the stuff we read about online about extraterrestrials, especially the fear-based stuff,
Yeah,
is that it's not true. I think a lot of it is propaganda, to scare us, basically.
yeah,
I really do.
it works.
Because yeah, it does on a collective level, especially because if you think about this, if an extraterrestrial civilization really wanted to just take over us, they could do it within the blink of an eye.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, could do it within a blink of an eye, and I think their restraint, you know, their actual restraint in it, observing us compassionately and lovingly and just watching us go through this process as it unfolds, only interfering in a really, really, you know, in a deep way, not really, you know, they're not going to just land on the White House lawn.
yeah,
But I think their restraint, especially because we've been known to maybe, I don't know, attack their ships too, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Our military has been known to attack their ships.
yep.
So, um, their restraint says everything about them to me. You know.
Definitely, definitely. So, I mean, there's a couple different places to even go with that, but as far as the fear is concerned, right? Talking about the fear-based propaganda, the stuff that, you know what I'm saying, that was on television when we were kids, all of the movies and stuff like that, promoting fear, just so if you did have a UFO encounter, if you did see a ship flying low, you would be scared to try to contact it. You would be scared to pull out a flashlight or a lighter, as the you know, the band Incubus says. I'm counting UFOs. I signal them with my lighter, trying to make contact, right? And so by actually watching all of those fear-based programs, you'll be scared to make contact. But when you do, you find out that, you know, the narrative is a little bit different. And so I'm assuming, you said you've had contact. I'm assuming it was, you know, beautiful, peaceful contact, correct?
You know what? It was completely spontaneous contact because I didn't even sit down to meditate with the intention of contacting extraterrestrials. I was just sitting still, and I reached. It's very rare when I meditate that I reach this level of depth, and it's usually spontaneous when I do. I actually go completely beyond my physical body. I can't feel my body at all. I'm just this consciousness. But with my eyes closed, I can still see the room. I can still see what's in front of me in the room with my eyes completely shut. So I'm obviously seeing it out of my third eye. And all of a sudden, I'm just sitting there and I can see the room. And I'm just amazed at the fact that I could even see the room with my eyes closed. You know, like, it was completely new to me. And all of a sudden, this blue being just appeared. He just manifested before me. I couldn't see his facial features much, but he was humanoid. He looked about 7 foot tall. And there was no fear at all. It was like, it felt as if I knew him forever. And he actually told me that he was me. He said that I'm you, another form of you. And it felt like me as well. It really did feel as if it was me. And he gave me a name too. He called himself Ray. And the inspiration, what he's given me, he told me that he's from Sirius. And it's funny because now my second book, which I'm in the process of writing, it's nearly complete. The first volume is actually a sci-fi novel based on Sirius, and Ray's the main character. So, you know, I think that he's helping me write this book because I'm writing it from his perspective. He's the storyteller in the book, you know. So I believe that I'm channeling him when I'm writing this book. Obviously, I don't think it's all true what the story says, you know, but I think some aspects of it are. So yeah, I'm very excited about this project.
So would you say that Ray is your higher self, the real you, and you may be now us having this conversation in bodily form? This, you know, is the avatar?
No, I don't believe that. I believe that we, like, for example, you, Derek, yeah, you have your own higher self, which is your own spirit version of your incarnation. Yeah. So I believe that each incarnation has its own higher self. That's my belief. So
where are they, though? That's the thing. On Sirius? I mean, is that where they?
I mean, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
He said on a planet orbiting Sirius. And you know what is so ironic is that the night I had that divine experience when I looked out the window and seen the stars, Orion and Sirius were right before me as well. The Sirius star, it's the brightest in the night sky. It was flashing all these different colors, you know, right before me. I didn't even know it was Sirius back then.
Yeah.
You know, people. Yeah, it's very exciting. It's very exciting.
I've actually seen a lot of craft come in and out of Orion and Sirius. I've seen a lot. I've had some divine encounters by stargazing, looking at Orion, and then, you know, which led me to a lot of further research about creation and, you know, where heaven is and things like that, and different religious texts or whatever the case is. And so there's something special about Orion and Sirius, really.
In my story, the actual war in heaven that we read about in the Bible is actually a star war. Like it's a war in space.
Yeah.
And between Sirius and Orion. That's actually going to be the essence of my book. But what I really I want to teach in a fun way. I want to get this message out, like all the stuff I've wrote about in the Labyrinth. I want to get it out there to the younger generation. So my goal ultimately is to create a manga. My partner's from Japan, so I'll be going to Tokyo later this year with her. And I've been practicing how to draw manga too. So hopefully, if the book does, you know, succeed as a novel, then I can present it to some Japanese manga companies, and they'll hopefully draw the characters for me. So yeah,
because I was reading in your bio you're really big into anime too, and I've been seeing a lot of different teachers and people with alternative thought have embraced the idea that you can't just give somebody a book these days, as far as the younger generation is concerned, that you have to put it in a story, you have to put it in a cartoon. We look at Avatar: The Last Airbender, and there's tons.
It's really, you nail on the head, and that's my goal too. There was I can't remember his name, but there was actually a manga artist in the 1940s or maybe 1930s in Japan, and he drew an anime about World War, like the World Wars, and he wanted to promote peace and everything. But the gist of my story is going to be that there's going to be a lot of wars and fighting, but at the end they're going to realize that fighting fire with fire only creates more fire, you know, and that we can't really transcend these war with more war, you know. So the end of the story is going to be the ascension of the Sirius collective consciousness of their race, you know, where they merge into one consciousness on a conscious level. And that's the gist of my story, and because that's where we're headed to. We are headed in that direction.
Yeah,
you know, becoming more sensitive. People all over the world are waking up.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, there's a lot of turmoil right now. Of course, we're in a world of polarities, of extremes right now. You know, especially on a political standpoint. But you know, this kind of contrast is required in order for us to truly transcend these ways. So
I actually interviewed Ed Grimsley before he passed, and or Are you familiar with his work?
No.
Ed Grimsley? Well, he would go out with Generation 3 night vision goggles and give people tours because you can see so much in space that you can't see with the naked eye with those goggles. And so I think they're military grade. And so his big thing was the whole Star Wars, that he's seen ships shooting at each other and exploding in outer space. And it's funny that it kind of ties in with your story a little bit because the great Edgar Casey said that the Battle of Armageddon would be fought in the heavens in outer space.
Wow. Well, I didn't know that about Edgar. He made some amazing predictions, didn't he, that have come true. And he also said that many of the coastlines of the earth are going to be changed in the coming years. So, we are on edge, of course, but I just want to encourage people to stay positive and, focus their imagination on a vision of the future, which is beautiful, on a utopia, because it is coming. It can't be stopped. It can't be stopped. I think we will make it as a collective.
So at the same time, where this type of physical war is existing literally in the earth and then in the heavens as well, maybe, what about a spiritual war? What about entities and parasites that feed off of fear and hysteria and all those type of things, and then even the positive beings that are around us? Do you believe in that as well?
I mean, I do, but I don't give much power to it. Of course, there's entities and angels and demons, and I'm not naive enough to deny that. I've experienced some really, really hellacious things in my life. So, of course, people are being influenced left, right, and center, in ways they don't prefer. But ultimately, what it boils down to is our personal vibration, how we are vibrating at the moment, what our state of being is. Because if we are in a low state, in a depressed state, in an anxious state all the time, then we are more vulnerable to, unseen forces, which may not have our best interests in our heart. We are open to them. So the key is to really manage your state of being consciously, and that's the essence of my book, basically. When people really align with their integrity, and because the moment we raise our vibration, the lower entities or whatever people want to call them, they can't influence us because they can't even perceive us because we're vibrating too high. And also, I want to tie this in with negative beliefs, because belief systems are basically archetypes. Archetypes, like if you believe you're worthless, for example, then you're going to attract an entity, correlated with the archetype of worthlessness or self-loathing or self-hatred. Because if you noticed, like in some of these demon possession cases, some of them, the priest or whatever will ask, "What's your name?" and he'll tell them, "My name is hatred or loathing," or some negative quality. The demon is actually called a negative quality, and it's because demons and angels are actually correlated with universal archetypal symbols.
That's how they get access to you, is through that trauma and through those belief systems.
Yeah, man, and that's the essence of my book, just to rewire it, change your beliefs, become conscious of your conditioned patterns and thoughts and emotions, and transcend them. So we're not at influence, we're not vulnerable. I didn't write it with the intention of staying clear of demons or anything like that. Of course not.
You got to deal with them. You don't just think. You already. Yeah, they're already there. You have to deal with them at some point, right? Yeah. So that's what I was wanting to ask you. Like, you had that divine encounter, but I know that's just the beginning. Like, everything's not good from there on out. You have to kind of work through that stuff as well, right? The traumas and the fears and the lies and all that kind of stuff, right?
Of course. I was diagnosed with hypochondria.
Oh yeah.
Severe health anxiety.
Well, let's talk about that, man. I experienced a short window of that because of demonic possession. What was that like for you?
Well, mine was triggered. I was 18 years old. I was diagnosed with hypochondria. I was severe health anxiety. Well, let's talk about that, man. I experienced a short window of that because of demonic possession. What was that like for you? Well, mine was triggered. Mine was triggered. I was 18 my grandfather and grandmother, they were severe hypochondriacs too. And I don't want to say it's genetics, because Bruce Lipton has proven that 99% of our conditions are not genetic. It's actually our beliefs that signal our genes to function in the same ways as our parents or grandparents. So I
Yeah.
don't want to blame genetics. But I grew up with my mother telling me, you're a hypochondriac, you're a hypochondriac, you're a
Yeah.
hypochondriac. And, and she's imprinted that into my subconscious. So I had to literally change that program.
Hence the generational
I,
curse. It's just passed down,
Exactly.
you know?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. The generational curse is actually our beliefs, not in our genes. It's in
Yeah.
our belief systems. Because there was a scientific study done where an adopted child, where unadopted children, yeah, and the scientists have found that adopted children have just as much of a chance of getting cancer as the people in the family who, in a family that is got a history of cancer, yeah, the adopted children have just as much as a chance of getting cancer as they do. And it's got nothing to do with genetics, because they're completely, it's an adopted child. It's the fact that he grew up around the same environment with the same beliefs and behaviors, and eventually contracted the disease himself. So it's actually the environment that signals our genes. It's our reaction and the way we're perceiving things and ourselves, which signals our genes to function in certain ways. There are thousands of ways our genes can express themselves depending upon our state of being and our perception of ourselves. And this is the essence of epigenetics. Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza are great scientists in these fields. So, yeah, they've inspired me a lot.
What would trigger the hypochondria? What, because you know what I'm saying, for me, and it was only a short window that, but it was really weird. It was that I was into the occult and I was really big and trying to make pacts with demons and opening up my mind and my body up to any type of entity that wanted to come through, and ended up becoming demonically possessed. And so at the end of that, there was this weird hypochondria where every disease that I heard on television, just flipping the dial, when they said it, I thought I had it. And it was, and I really believed that I had it. As soon as they said it, it was strictly, demonic oppression. And I would start freaking out and thinking, oh, I have brain cancer. I have testicular cancer, and all of this weird stuff of just changing the television. Was that kind of like how it was for you?
No, well, I actually do. I mean, the root of mine, the root of mine is actually when I was 8 weeks old, as a newborn baby, 8 weeks old, I actually had to have heart surgery because my aorta, the main artery, it just inflamed randomly and blocked itself. So I'm very lucky to even be alive right now. So I grew up with my mother also telling me I've got a heart condition, I've got a heart condition, I've got a heart condition, I've got a heart condition. So I've had to integrate that belief too. Even though, yes, technically I have a heart condition, but I'm 32 years old now, and it's been perfectly fine ever since. I go to the hospital for a couple of years,
Yeah.
just to get looked at, just to make sure everything's still running smoothly,
Yeah.
and be fine. So, but that belief was deeply ingrained in my psyche also, and these beliefs, the fear and the hypochondria is actually what I was suppressing with all the drugs. But the irony is, when I'd have cocaine, it would make me even more hypochondriac. It would make me so anxious. I felt like I was in a prison, like it, just panic attacks and breathing, and But I was addicted to it still. It was so weird. It was just so weird, man. I've been clean for 9 years, and I've never felt better. It's just.
That's awesome.
But yeah, hypochondria is a very, very, very challenging condition to have. But it can be changed, and the most fundamental thing to do is to change your perception of yourself, and to trust, and not unconsciously define the stress response symptoms in the body as life threatening. Because once we're under stress, our body, we start like a heart palpitation, or our throat tightens up, or we feel all these sensations, and when we're stressed, when the survival instinct kicks in. So hypochondriacs, what they tend to do is believe that they're dying because of these symptoms that they're feeling when it's simply just a stress response. So if anyone is struggling with hypochondria out there, really pay attention to what I've just said, because that is one of the fundamental keys, is to become comfortable with these uncomfortable feelings. So just trust that it's just the body's reaction, and everyone feels these sensations when they're under stress. So you don't need to define them as life-threatening.
As far as rewiring the nodes in the brain and the way you think and all that kind of stuff, you actually had a master to help you, right? So it wasn't something that you just approached on your own by reading and stuff. You did deep meditation and actually changing the way you think and stuff, right? You had help from a master?
Well, I mean, the only help she gave me was the meditation techniques. That's it. She's not a master who just sits there and tells me what to do. She says do what you want, but there are very advanced yogic techniques. She's from India, so ancient yogic techniques like Kriya Yoga and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Would help me. So, I'm very, very connected to Yogananda too and Maharaja Babaji. If you've ever heard of the autobiography of a yogi, I have some friends who I go every couple of weeks and to meditate with them. They're all taking that Indian spirituality too. So she just basically gives me certain techniques, and she says find out for yourself. She doesn't even tell me what to expect. And that's the greatest teacher, really. She doesn't tell you what to find. She just says, there you go and do it yourself and see. So
what are some of the the more advanced techniques that help you enter in the trance state that you're finding? So I'm finding that if you incorporate breath work to your meditation, that it actually accelerates the trance state as well, to actually tap in.
Yeah. For me personally, it's about keeping your body completely still when you meditate. Stillness in the body will eventually bring stillness within the mind. My favorite form of meditation at the moment is to just lay down on my bed. I just lay down. I do it in complete darkness. I stay completely still, and I don't move a finger or a toe. I just focus on the natural flow of my breathing at first, and I focus my energy here, my intention here, and I just watch the mind. Just watch the thoughts. Don't resist them, because if you resist the thoughts, it just comes back even stronger, and the mind becomes more aroused. So you just watch the thoughts, and eventually, after keeping your body still, you'll feel yourself begin to sink within your own body, and your thoughts will just stop, and all of a sudden, every atom in your body is just glistening, vibrating with this bliss. And some really amazing, profound experiences happen as a result of that. I don't want to go into too much detail right now. It's going to be different for everyone, of course, but yeah, it's just about stillness for me.
Awesome. So is that one of the I guess is that a important technique to retraining the mind?
I guess, of course, because if you get used to just watching your thoughts, the Tibetan definition of the word meditation means to become familiar with. To become familiar with what, though? It's two things. One, to become familiar with embodying your true self, but also to become familiar with all the patterns in your mind. So if you're practicing the habit of just watching your mind impartially without reacting emotionally to every thought that passes you by, then eventually you're going to become more aware of yourself, of your patterns of behavior. So, Eckhart Tolle touches on this quite a bit in The Power of Now. Just to watch the mind impartially is one of the fundamental keys in transcendence. So,
why the title The Labyrinth? What does that represent?
It's funny because the way I conceived the book, because I was just running, I was out on a jog like in 2014, and when you're in that state of being where you're just in that flow zone and you're just jogging and There wasn't even any thoughts in my head. All of a sudden, it just hit me like a bolt of lightning. The entire idea for the book, I seen the cover of the book, I was given the name, the title, everything just came to me within an instant. I don't know how or how it even came to me. It just happened spontaneously. Basically, the Labyrinth, I've got a copy here. The Labyrinth.
It's a beautiful cover, by the way.
Thanks. The Labyrinth is actually a symbol for our conditioned self, the mind, because our mind is like a maze. It's like a labyrinth of contradictory thoughts and beliefs and ideas, that tangles up our individuality. So the essence of this book is learning how to transcend. Only transcendence can really do it. And if you look carefully on the cover, it looks a bit like a brain too,
Mm-hmm.
like the neocortex of a brain. So that was the idea behind it, basically.
Heather in the chat wants to know, have you ever walked a labyrinth?
Like physically?
Yeah, like they have them set up in gardens and things like that, where you walk it as you pray and meditate.
Actually, no, I never have, but I actually do want to do one. I actually do want to do that one day. It would be really nice.
I have a crazy synchronicity. Like the first time that we heard about a labyrinth, we went to New Orleans to do a float tank experience, and we were planning on doing psilocybin mushrooms in the float tank. And so we went to see a Reiki practitioner, Dr. Jess Tragle, and we went and seen her. And we were in New Orleans, and she said, hey, when you guys leave, right down the road, there's a park with a nice labyrinth, and explained to us what it was. We'd never heard of it. And pretty much it's like the grid, pretty much like you showed, but you walk it, and you usually walking in circles, and you get to the end, and you pray and meditate while you're doing it, and usually what you're dealing with comes to fruition by the time you reach the end. It is just different belief systems or whatever. So we went there and did that. We did the labyrinth prayer walk, and then we got to the float tank shop, and there was a coffee table book with just some different esoteric principles and designs and artwork by Alex Gray, and it was just sitting on the coffee table, and we was flipping through it, and we seen the labyrinth symbol, and it was beautiful because I had never seen it before. I'd never heard of a labyrinth garden or seen that symbol in my life, and so in the same day, it was just a really beautiful experience for us. And every time I see it now, it reminds me of just that whole trip that we went on. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, in England, I think in the south of England, especially in the summer, there are some really nice gardens with labyrinths in, and I do want to do one day, definitely. It would be nice to go on that walk and just to be really mindful and present as you do it. I think it would be beautiful, yeah.
Now, have you
actually one of my other forms of meditation is to just, when I'm outside, because a lot of the time when we're thinking, we don't need to be thinking. We overthink way too much. So, I just like to walk thoughtless, just to be present. Like, that's how we be truly present. I mean, we can be present with thought as well, as long as we identify with what's deeper than thought, the transcendent aspect of ourselves. But I like to just be thoughtless. I like to just put that automatic mind aside and just be nothing.
I mean, for me, that's when the cool ideas come in. If we're doing something, whether we're just, relaxing or watching television, or we're on the internet, or we're creating something, it's hard to tap into that mind. But if we're jogging, if we're stuck jogging but on the road, or if we're driving on a long trip by ourselves, then whenever we're doing something that usually, we don't want to be doing, maybe, we have all of these thoughts and creative ideas and what we would rather be doing. And then there's a lot of ideas that come from that. And that was like, for me, I would just write them down when I was driving a truck for a living. It's hard to tap into that state, though. Like if you're not doing it, like, you have to go cut the grass, or you have to jog. You have to do something where it doesn't take a lot of your subconscious mind to actually do it. And then these thoughts and lyrics and ideas and book covers and pictures starts flowing, man.
Yeah, and I mean, Einstein said that the greatest of his ideas came when he wasn't thinking. The whole E equals MC square equation that he came up with, for the speed of light, came just in a eureka moment. And I think we all have an inner genius within ourselves that we can tap into. Some people call it the quantum field, which is just the transcendent part
Yeah.
of our, which is just has access to everything, the Akashic records or whatever. And yeah, people who are very creative, such as you create music and stuff like that. So you are familiar with the creative state itself. Oh, my cat is like trying to but especially when I'm writing the novel that I'm writing, like I'll write a chapter, and then when I'm not in that creative state, my thinking mind will be like, okay, so how shall I formulate the next chapter? How shall it go?
Mm-hmm.
What shall I, such and such? And I'll come up with some pretty cool ideas on my own. But then when I actually sit down to write the book, completely new ideas just flow to me that I've never even thought
That's
of.
good, yeah.
And it just ties all the story together synchronistically and symbolically and allegorically even. It's just amazing how our minds, like this higher self works, and I think it's due to the fact that it's beyond time, it's beyond linear space and time, so it can draw information from our future versions of ourselves or our past versions of ourselves, and we can really tap into these other aspects of our psyche in that state. So
yeah, and I guess another way we can access that state is just simply through meditation, because once you kind of break through, it's almost like sometimes you break through and there's a flood. We talk about it being slippery at times. There's so much that comes through. You just got to try to grab one thing and pull it out, whatever it is. And you're like, oh, I got this cool idea. I had so many, it was overwhelming. It was scary. But to be able to grab one and pull it out into the waking state can be a challenge at times too, right?
Of course. I mean, it's important not to allow your meditative state to be dependent on all the actions that you're doing. Of course, when I'm writing or when I'm running or when I'm doing something that I really enjoy, I'm automatically put into that state, But when I'm doing something that I don't enjoy doing, for example, washing the dishes or, just something simple,
Yeah.
it's important to also just breathe and be mindful of what you're doing and to really pay attention and, so the key is ultimately for meditation. It's not just about sitting down and being still. It's also about bringing out that stillness into the world. And so every action you perform, or even when you're not doing anything, becomes a meditative practice. So it completely, we're immersed in every aspect of our lives in that state. That is ultimately the goal.
Somebody just said in chat, this is Sunshine on Sophia said that there's a website called labyrinthlocator.com, and I'm on it now trying to see if it works. I can't find any though. I think I'm gonna have to check that out. You can actually go in there supposedly and find labyrinths that are close to you. So yeah, everybody check that website out. Labyrinthlocator.com.
Wow. Thank you very much. Yeah, hopefully there's some in Liverpool.
Where some places people can check out the book, man? It's on Amazon and things like that, right? If somebody wants to find it.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble website as well, and it's on Waterstones if you're in the UK as well. But Amazon is probably your best bet. And of course, if you follow me on Instagram and stuff like that, you'll get updates. And I've actually got a website that's just being created by the publishers for the book, and I'll be posting updates and blogs and everything on that website. So I'll leave you the link for I can send you the link for the website, and you can leave it in the introduction for the podcast or something later on.
Yeah, definitely. Do you do a lot of podcasts? Are you doing a lot of promo for the book and things like that?
This is just my third podcast right now. It's only been out for a couple of months. I've got a few more invitations, but also I'm waiting on a lot of promotional gear from my company. They're going to be sending me like a lot of bookmarkers and postcards and posters and stuff like that with the book on, and so I'm waiting on that too.
Good stuff, man. Well, was there anything that you want to touch on that we didn't touch on today? Any cool experiences, man? But the UFOs, summoning the light ships, anything? What's up?
I mean, it's not really relevant to my book subject, is it? So I just want to encourage people to really get back to who they were before the world conditioned them to conform with its way. You know, because I've come synchronistically, I've come full circle. Okay, I've come full circle because when I was a kid, I was so curious about all this stuff, and I was writing short stories and drawing characters and things like that. And I went through a very dark tunnel and was fortunate enough to come out the other end. And I've come full circle, and I'm back doing what I love to do as a child. And I'm forging a career out of it now, and everyone can do that. We all have the power and the ability to do that if we really believe in ourselves. So that's really what I want to get across.
Have you read The Alchemist?
Is that the Paul Coelho book?
Yeah.
Is Paul Coelho? I've read parts of it. Yeah.
It's about recapturing the dream that you had when you was a kid.
Clear to see in our birth chart too. There's a goal and an objective that we really, really come here to accomplish, each and every one of us. A lot of people, you know, pass away unfortunately without realizing that goal or dream. But I believe that we've all got a childlike dream within us, you know, to create and make the world a bit better than what it was when we entered. To leave the world in a better place. And to really, I mean, not in an egotistical sense, but to really make our mark on our civilization, leave a mark and an imprint on the collective consciousness that's going to help it evolve and expand. So, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm with you, man. That's why I'm doing this podcast, bro. Yeah, recapture that dream, bring it into fruition, and using meditation and mindfulness to do it, right?
Yeah. And I really appreciate you doing that as well and having the courage to follow your dreams and ambitions. So, you know, it's very encouraging to see a lot of people are doing it nowadays.
Yep. That final push off the mountain can be hard. And even that's just the beginning. You know, the initial leap of faith, it's just the beginning. Man, yesterday I just had a day, man, just my mind was just like, just trying to wrap around everything that I'm doing. And just like, it was so discouraging. I was like, man, I got to get out of my head. I had a day yesterday, man. It was strange because I'm usually motivated. I'm usually in the flow. And then yesterday it was like, what are you doing? How are you going to maintain this? You know, financially, blah, 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 all of this stuff. And it's like, what the hell am I doing? You know, it just caught up with me. And then I just had to get over it, man. I had to get out of my head. I really had to cry in my wife's arms yesterday. Honestly, it was pretty intense. But
I mean, how is a word that we always ask, isn't it? You know, how is this going to happen? How is that going to happen? How is this going to unfold? You know, like even me writing my novel, how is the next chapter going to unfold? But the moment I let go, the answers just come. You know, the answers just come. So it's about trusting. Of course, even I, still to this day, you know, I have bad days. You know, I have days where I've got to literally be alone and recenter myself because these patterns are very deeply ingrained. I don't believe anyone's 100% healed. I really don't believe that, especially while they have a physical body, because the imprints of the collective are still within the psyche also.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's not just individual wounds that we're healing. It's collective mind patterns also. So, we're all still healing, and it's a beautiful process. I like to see it as a game. We're actually playing a game. I like it in my book, especially I define this entire experience as a game. Who knows, man? Maybe like I see Gears of War behind you there on your wall. You know, maybe we're playing, you know, Final Fantasy 90 something in the future, and we're all come back in the past and playing this big RPG together. Who knows? You know, it seems pretty much like a simulation to me, you know, this entire reality.
Yeah. The game thing is big too, because you find out that everybody's playing the game, whether they know it or not, but most people don't understand the rules. And so we talk about the rules as being just universal law, and the way that, you know, the universe and the mind and sowing and reaping and planting and harvesting, like all of these laws about how things work. And once you understand that, you put yourself in a better position to play the game. We're all playing it. Some of us are just playing by default. I don't want to play. Well, it's your turn. Whether you want to play or not, you sat down at this table to play the game with us.
Honestly, you've just took the words out my book, literally. Okay, let me just read a tiny segment just to reinforce what you just said. Everyone's already creating a reality. They're already playing a game of life, but unfortunately, most aren't conscious of this fact. They're playing the game unconsciously. But how can one be successful in a game they don't even know that they're playing? All successful people have a positive and dynamic attitude. They understand that everything starts with their mindset. They sow the seeds of success in their mind and are rewarded for the fruits of their labors through the circumstances their optimism inevitably brings into manifestation.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, man. Basically, so it's about being conscious. Play consciously, play the game consciously. I think when we approach life from a vibration of playfulness, from a childlike nature, which is why Jesus also said,
Yep.
unless you're converted as little children, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven. Once we approach life from a more playful standpoint, then our reality becomes more malleable to change, because seriousness and taking everything so personally that happens to us makes the matter around us innate and unchangeable. It reinforces everything in our current reality. And we really want to shift into a new reality, but we can't do it if we're just the same person. Basically, in order to change our reality, we have to change ourselves, and that's the essence of my book.
Have you seen Bandersnatch
Bandersnatch?
from
No,
Black Mirror, the Black Mirror episode where you can choose your destiny for the character?
no, I haven't seen. When you said Bandersnatch, it reminded me of Final Fantasy IX, because there's like an enemy called the Bandersnatch on it, but I haven't. No, I haven't.
Is it a cat? A cat enemy?
Like a cat, yeah, like a
Yeah.
big cat.
Yeah, there's some deep stuff even behind that. You like this entity of the Bandersnatch or whatever, and it had something to do with the show. You should watch it. It's pretty deep, and some people are mentioning it here in chat, where you actually get to pick your destiny and all that kind. It's really interesting. Really interesting.
I believe that we do choose our destiny. I don't think we're just thrown here by some wrathful god who's like, no, you haven't mastered yourself now, so you need to reincarnate again. Not at all. All of this is self-imposed on a higher self level. I believe our higher self decides who our physical appearance. It chooses our parents. It chooses the society which we're going to be born in. It chooses certain themes that we want to experience. Of course, there is some degree of free will, but ultimately the goal is to experience our heart's desires. And in my opinion, our heart's truest desires are always in alignment with the will of the divine. So
Yeah, I went through this thing, coming out of Christianity. It was the fact that like you can't. It's this weird Gnostic understanding that pleasure or things that make you happy means you're less spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, and there's just that you have to, like, if there's food that tastes good, you can't have it because it'll make you feel good. Or if there's a job, like you're supposed to work a dead end bad job because you're put here to serve. And it was just this weird understanding, man, that was.
A lot of these mystical traditions are played in negative belief systems, disempowering belief systems. I think we're evolving beyond a lot of this hogwash, that was formulated in medieval times. Like, I've heard a few Gnostics and Buddhists say that matter is evil.
Yeah.
That matter is evil because it takes us away. But, they're saying that while they've got a physical body made out of matter. Like, these are just labels and definitions, I mean, obviously matter is not the true reality, but at the same time, it's just building blocks. We're just on a playground. I don't see anything as, I mean, obviously evil does exist and it has a place in this reality, but to say that matter's evil and the experience of life is evil is just beyond me.
I know. I don't really deal with too much of the Gnostic traditions. Like, as far as gnosis in of itself, I feel like it's beautiful. But, just to, like, any of these traditions to embrace wholeheartedly, you're going to embrace some half-truths and some misunderstandings by doing it. So I think it's just a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. And that's what a lot of people are doing, you know, and they're finding
balance.
what works for them.
Yeah, it's all about balance. I believe that we can enjoy the spiritual aspect of our lives and the material aspect of our lives at the same time. You know, we've got an ego, you know, and a lot of people believe they have to kill their ego to become enlightened. Okay, my definition of the ego is your physical self. Your physical self is the ego, not just the thoughts in your head. Have you ever noticed when you're doing what you love to do in the creative state that you become pure consciousness? You know, your thoughts disappear and you just become a vehicle for the divine to channel through you. Yeah. But if you noticed in that state, you still have an individual focus. You're still looking through through a pair of eyes. You still have a body. You know, the individual focus is the divine ego. I believe the ego is divine. I call it the divine ego, and also the Vedas call it the divine ego as well. A lot of the yogic traditions. That is the divine ego. The soul itself is an ego, in a sense, because it's individualized. You know, because ultimately consciousness is one. So all these individualizations are ultimately illusion anyway. But the soul, the human soul, is actually an ego in of itself because it's individualized. You know. So what a lot of spiritual teachers call the ego, you know, a lot of these like the conditioned patterns and, you know,
blessed to be able to give
past experiences and stuff. I just call it the conditioned ego. You know, I call it the conditioned aspect of ourselves. And once we integrate these conditionings back into our core, then we become a channel for the divine.
That's good stuff, man. Well, I really enjoyed this conversation, brother. We'll have to do it again whenever you get that next book out, and I'd love to have you back on.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care, everyone.
Bless.
Bye.
Craig Woods, ladies and gentlemen. To check out his book, just go to Amazon.com, type in Craig Woods Labyrinth. It'll come right up, and I'll try to put the direct link in the show notes. So if you guys heard that noise a while ago, that was Christy folks donating. Thank you so much, Christy, for doing that. And also thank you, Chris Garner, who raised his patronage. Thank you, brother. You're one of us. Thank you. So that's awesome. One thing that was kind of beautiful. He talked about how capturing that dream and living out that dream is essentially, he called it the promised land. That's funny. I think it is. And when we're reading the Bible, because the Bible talks a lot about the promised land and it being this land flowing with milk and honey, right? And, you know, the Bible is just full of allegory about how things relate to us, not about how it related to whoever wrote it or these people who lived 2,000 years ago or 6,000 years ago, however long it was when they this concept of the promised land came out. But the allegory about what the promised land is to you. Some people think America's the promised land, you know, all this weird stuff. But recapturing your dream and living in that dream, that's the promised land. And it's funny too, because like on the road to the promised land, it's full of many obstacles. It's full of battles, defeats, victories, gaining the ground just a little bit at a time and not giving up so that you obtain the promise, right? Which we all have set before us. And it's funny, when the Israelites went over and they found the promised land and they looked, there were giants in the land. There were giants, and it said that we appear to be as grasshoppers to them. That these huge giants there. And those giants represent obstacles in our lives, that we look at our dream and we look at what we know we were put here to do, but it just seems so far away. Even if you can see it, like they saw it, but there's like, man, there's giants there. There's no way that I can obtain this. There's no way that this can become a reality. I should have started a long time ago. Maybe they were right. Maybe it wasn't for me. You know, maybe this, maybe that. And but it's about recapturing that dream and finding a way to inherit the land, possess the land. That's the land of the promise, the land flowing with milk and honey. And I really believe that. And so whatever that is, I think it's different for everyone. I believe that we do have a dream that was given to us by God, and it's not I think for many people it's used as like, you see the, the person riding the donkey. I know you've seen this on like Bugs Bunny and stuff a lot, when they're holding a carrot in front of the donkey and they get him to go where he wants. And it's almost like God just holds that dream in front of you, like up, just out of your reach. You can see it, but you can't touch it. You can look at it, but you can't touch it. That type of deal. And that's really not the case, man. That's not the case. The scripture says that if you delight yourself in the Lord, he'll give you the desires of your heart. But what you have to find out is that you have to spend time in the prayer closet. You have to spend time with Christ so that your desires are renewed. You have to renew your desires. Some of us have or do desire to repay evil with evil. You can't do that. Some of you have a desire to self-sabotage. You can't do that. That's kicking the ladder out from up under you and everyone around you. People who have helped you build this. Just kick the ladder out from under everybody. Hey, I thought we had an agreement. Nope. Kick the ladder out. Self-sabotage. You can't do that. You have to change your desires. You have to. And then you'll find out when the scripture says that if you delight yourself in the Lord, he'll give you the desires of your heart. He's like longing to give it to us, like a father. Just says, the scripture says, just as, you desire as a father, and he says, you being wicked, desire to give your kids good things. You desire to, give your kids a gift. So the Father desires to give us beautiful gifts as well. The Holy Spirit, our dreams, they're in us for a reason. We have to recapture that dream. We've given up on it maybe in times past, but it's about recapturing it and not giving up. I posted a meme yesterday, and I've always said this, and you've heard me say this, but I just posted a meme. I did a photo shoot and put a picture up with my image or whatever, and it says, let me just pull it up because I don't know exactly what it says. I don't want to misquote myself, right? This cool meme that I made, and I'll show it on, let's see. I'll show it on the PC here. Here we go. Look at me. Full right PC. But yeah, look at me. That's me. Blood, sweat, and tears are the magic elixir of dreams. And I've said that many times on here. It's got a lot of likes and a lot of shares compared to what I usually get on the old Facebook. But yeah, that's been a lot of people shared it. It's got like 112 likes or so, 16 shares, and then other people like reposting it. So yeah, I guess that was a good meme. Good photo shoot. Shout out to King David. Did that photo shoot for me, but I did the color gradient and all that kind of stuff. It's what I do. But anyway, blood, sweat, and tears are the magic elixir of dreams. And I really believe that, man. I really believe that, if you have that dream and it just seems right outside your reach, sometimes you have to bleed over it. Sometimes you got to get your hands dirty. Sometimes it cuts deep. So you got to sweat over it. You have to work. When you're working, you're going to sweat. You're putting in the work. Tears, you might cry over it. You may cry at just looking at how big it seems or how far out of reach it may be. I remember doing that. I can go back and see that. Looking at the dreams that seem so far away. I sat in my car like, man, I got this vision. I talked about this, but I was at a customer delivering car parts, and I was at the customer before they got there. And I'm just thinking about this vision and this dream and this magic mushroom float tank experience, and I'm like, man, this dream just seems so far out of reach. There's no way. I was crying. I remember just the tears rolling down my face, and just coming to that point of, when do you give up on your dream? When do you give up? Should there be a specific time, like an age? Okay, you're 30, you're 33, 35, 40, 50, 60, 20. Like when do you give up on your dream? When does it become just a pipe dream? To make a living doing what you love to do. Should you ever give up on it? I never did, man. And so I sat there in tears, and I really believe, man, blood, sweat, and tears are the magic elixir of dreams. That if you want it bad enough, that if you put those together, blood, sweat, and tears into what you're trying to build, it's going to take that. Never give up. Heather says, TruthSeekah, you shed tears yesterday over your dreams, proof that it's an ongoing process. Yeah, man. Yesterday was a day, man. And I did. I don't like to admit it. I'd like to say, yeah, just keep going. You got it, guys. It's good. Once you get over that initial, stepping out of faith and bringing it to the table, everything's good. No, you still got to fight for it. There's other people who would challenge you. There's people out there who are ready to challenge you for your dream. They want your dream, or they feel like you don't deserve your dream. You're going to have to deal with all that stuff, man. Start living your best life. You start making money doing what you love for a living. You start, you're happy. I'm telling you, misery loves company. Misery loves company. Some people just can't leave well enough alone. And so, yeah, yesterday, I don't know, I just had a weird day. It's just weird, man. It's a whole new level, man. Going through the levels, man. And taxes is the thing. It's like, wow, I got to pay taxes? What the heck? And I don't know. And it's just a big thing for me right now. And then, it's crazy. Anyway, it just sometimes the vision seems so far out of reach. And I just was in this moment yesterday where I'm creating and creating and creating. And then over the last few months, I've created so much beautiful stuff. So much beautiful stuff, man. I put out an album called Colors. I worked my ass off to do that. And I hope I don't cry now. I don't want to, but you know me. Created a beautiful album called Colors. It did what it was supposed to do as far as like taking people on spiritual journeys and encouraging them and helping them on their walk. And then some beautiful guided meditations that I just tried my hand at, and some visions that I had. And I really believe I heard from the Lord and created that. And they're beautiful, life-changing, like people who don't meditate, people who are very critical at it. Like I've been getting crazy feedback from those meditations that is just changing people's lives. And I started creating some more of those. So I did an album, meditations. I just put out a collab album with Loke Saint and Cult Truth. We did that. That's another beautiful album. We're doing classes, and I'm just creating all of this beautiful stuff. And people are buying it and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like people support. It's usually just the people who I have in my circle. They support. But like once I create something, I'm on to the next thing. And then I forget about my album Colors, or even my album Seer, which came out in 2018. Beautiful album. I'm on to the next one. Like I'm on to the next thing. And I just have to find creative ways to continue to promote the things that are already created. You know what I'm saying? And then so, cause I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop creating, but, I don't want to just like keep sharing like this, whether it's social media. I know I have to look into, and that's what I'm doing, looking into like, creating ads that kind of promote the stuff for you, but you have to be able to make money off of yourself. So anyway, there's these different levels, man, that you come into, and especially doing it by yourself without a team, it can become overwhelming. So, anyway, yeah, yesterday was a rough day. And so, and I'm open because I'm trying to help you guys. Like, most people, I would say, want to do something similar. They want to pursue their passions for a living and have to get to wake up every morning and do what they love versus go and, bag groceries or drive a truck, 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, or whatever the case is, and then come home and then write a song or whatever, all that kind of stuff. So it's deep. It's really deep. So you just got to be open and honest about it. But Craig Woods is now in the chat. Everybody, if y'all want to say hello in the chat, Craig is in the chat. So thank you for coming on again, Craig. JC Perez says create the team. Yeah, man. Trust me. I've been trying. Like I have a good team of people. Like my circle's tough. We got a tough circle, but I think it's like from what I'm seeing right now, it's still a circle of individuals who kind of mirror me. They want to be doing something. They want to be doing the same thing I'm doing, and they're good at doing the things I'm doing, creating content. You have to have those people in your circle who are good at doing the things that you suck at. Like, I need somebody who's either good with Google Ads, or somebody who's good with marketing, or creating snippets of my podcast, like those type of things that that take time, consume time, that I don't really have time to do if I'm going to continue to create. So you just have to find those people, and I'm looking, I'm emailing, I'm putting it out there. So, and even with this, if I'm looking, and all that stuff costs money too, man. Like, if you're getting people to work for you, and if you need a publicist and a manager and all of that stuff, man, it costs money. And it's very, very interesting. It's we're getting into new ground, even with the podcast. Like, I'm getting emails for guests who are amazing guests. Amazing guests. One of the last guests we just had on, I found him through a marketing company that messaged me and said, "Hey, I'd love to for you to check out this guy's bio, see what he brings to the table. He's a writer. He's an entrepreneur. He does this, this, and this. He'd be a perfect guest." And I'm looking at his stuff. I was like, yeah, he'd be a great guest. Content. Let's do it. But it was a marketing company. He paid those people $300 to be on my podcast. I didn't see a penny of that. Like, he paid that marketing company to get him an interview. So they got paid to send me an email. $300 to be a guest on my show. He paid those people that. I didn't get nothing. I got to hang out with you and talk about psychedelics and all that stuff. It was a beautiful episode. I mean, I get ad revenue, but what, $3? Literally, like, what, it's crazy. So anyway, all of this stuff is a learning experience. And now, shout out to John Santiago. We do the radio guest list thing, and so that's a service that we do where we can get guests in now, and they promote you too if you pay them, and that's like $8 a month, but it's not. They don't really. I don't think it's that big, at least for me, because I haven't really. They haven't got me on any shows, but I've been getting these emails from these podcasters in these radio shows that want me to pay to come on their show. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wow, how are you going to reach out to me, send me an email, say, we'd love to have you on as a guest. We love your story. We love what you have going on. Pay us $50 and we'll let you go on. It's like, how are you going to flatter me and then want me to pay you to come on your show? Like, that's crazy, right? I can see if I came to you and then I'd have to pay you, but you came to me. Like, I'm still learning this stuff. I'm almost 200 episodes in. I'm about 190 something episodes in at this point. And still learning how this stuff works and how other people are doing it, and learn how to make a living doing what you love to do. Ad revenue. If you reach a certain threshold, and I've talked about this, you can put ads on your podcast and make a killing. Make a killing. I'm nowhere near that threshold. I may not ever get near that threshold. I don't want to speak that negatively, but you have to have other ways to make income doing what you love, right? Creating content. I mean, there's so many ways, and I'm working on a course just to show what I have in place that's working for me right now. But it's all new territory, and that's why I'm just doing this open and honest for you guys and letting you see what it looks like on the back end. So it encourages you, but it gives you a figure. Like, you don't know. Some people think like I'm making bank or something. Like, people think I'm making a lot of money doing this. And then I want to be open and honest so that it encourages you. So you have something to look at. Okay, this is what he makes per month on YouTube. So maybe if I play my cards right, I can quit my job because I can substitute that income with a YouTube gig or whatever the case is. Okay, that's this much per month. And then there's that, and there's this, and you can kind of add it up. And I want you guys to do that. I want you to pursue your dreams. And to speak on that, I'm going to give a shout out to Andrew. And I know you told me how to pronounce your last name several times. Wadowski, good friend of mine. He's a patron. He shows up to every School of the Mystics, no matter what he's doing. Good friend. But just to see people on their journey, man, And that's that really, I'm going to tell you, Andrew, when I seen you do that yesterday, it really did something for me, man, because like we encourage one another to step out, tell each other what's working. We have a tight community of people in our Discord that we encourage, and many of us are on similar paths, right? And but yeah, I've been talking to him about going live on Facebook and different groups and stuff, because he's wanting to do Reiki and private sessions with people and tarot readings and stuff like that, but he had never done it. And I just always encouraged him. And I don't want to take credit for you going live, but I know how much my work means to you, and I want to tell you just how much it meant to me to see you go live and flourish. You did really good. I was just on Facebook yesterday, and he went live in a group that we're in, and there was like a lot of people watching, and everybody benefited from what he brought to the table. So that was just such an encouragement, man, to see you doing that, and everybody else just taking that step towards your dream. If it's going live in a Facebook group, if it's starting a website, whatever it is, man, to see people stepping out towards their dream. I don't care what it is. You have to do something. Like, you have to do something. Like I said, if it's send an email, make a podcast, create a logo, show me your logo, show me your album cover, whatever it is you're trying to create, do something today. Plant something in the ground that you want to manifest tomorrow. And then you can look back, and then you have something to show for it. It's awesome. So, yeah, shout out to Andrew. That was awesome. But the whole thing about this episode today, talking about, retraining the mind. And I know, like, he was talking about being influenced by entities, right? Talking about being influenced by negative entities if you're on a lower level of vibration. And then he kind of talked about how maybe it didn't matter. They don't really have no say-so in the matter. But I feel like if you're vibrating at a low level and you're just open to these lower level entities, I think it does come into play, because like when you retrain your mind, when you're vibrating at a higher level, you're not entertaining BS anymore. You're actually vibing at a higher level with these other entities, and it makes it to where you can communicate these higher beings, these higher vibrational beings, and you have to be on a specific level to do that. And if you're on a low level, you're going to be harassed. You're going to be dealing with the lower level entities. It's just part of it. So retraining the mind, how the mind works, the level of expectancy, the placebo, as Chris Garner mentioned, it all comes into play about the things that you're experiencing in life. And I really believe that. I mean, that's what I was told. If you want to continue communication, this is what you got to do. You can't there's stuff you have to get rid of. You can't take with you to the next levels. Like, there's no way you're going to keep, splurging your paycheck on Burger King and McDonald's and yet go to the next level and save to pay a web designer when you're spending all that extra money on clothing. You have this weird addiction to buying clothes, and you spend all your extra money on nice clothes, and whatever it is, there's things that you're doing that's not going to allow you to go to the next level, or you can't bring it with you. And then usually it's different addictions or sins or shortcomings or whatever the case is that we have to deal with. And to do the work, whether it's through meditation, which is a big part, just simply being mindful. When you're in that moment, those things come up. They're revealed unto you. When you go through a float tank experience, when you're on psilocybin mushrooms, you have to deal with the stuff that you've been suppressing. You've been acting like doesn't bother you. You have to deal with the triggers, and you can run from them all you like. You can play cat and mouse, play freeze tag with them. It doesn't matter. You can run, but you can't hide. You cannot hide. You got to deal with it. You're just showing up in people's lives and building friendships, and then just sabotaging and running off and doing it again, and running off and doing it again. Finding new people. People disagree with you. You run them off. You find new people that agree with you. Like, that's not cool, right? People are doing it. You got to learn from that. You can't keep that up. this is something else too, man. I wanted to kind of, I guess, give my opinion on, but this whole, I don't know who I've seen this, but like Joe Rogan is under fire right now, by interviewing Jack Dorsey, which is the one of the founders of Twitter. And so he had him on the podcast, and they had a discussion, which the discussion in and of itself I didn't see, as controversial or bad, but there's a lot of people saying that the like to dislike ratio, he's got like thousands and thousands of dislikes and only a few likes. So people are saying that he was like feeding into the narrative of like they get to ban, like Twitter was the last company or whatever that deplatformed, not the last, but one of the last bigger ones, but that actually deplatformed Alex Jones for whatever he was doing. And the funny thing was they had Jack Dorsey on there. He didn't even know what Alex Jones was doing. Like they couldn't really say. They just seen everybody deplatforming him, so they eventually jumped on the ship too. So Joe Rogan was under fire for that. But it's really weird to see, man, even just a couple years ago, just to see how big a platform like Alex Jones was or is, and definitely the Joe Rogan podcast, like they're doing numbers that that shut Fox and CNN down. Like they're doing crazy numbers. They don't even have numbers like it used to be in ratings. So people's not paying attention to the mainstream news anymore, which is a controlled narrative. Like you can actually watch the videos. They're fed stories to cover word for word. I don't know if y'all have seen that, but there's some interesting videos where like news companies all over the world, they just read the same script and they have it all playing at the same time. It's very, very interesting just to let you know, like, and they say it, and with a face that you can trust. You see that face every morning who tells you about the weather, and then they tell you about news, and then they tell you about politics. They're all fed the same thing. But to see independent media like podcasting, like YouTube or whatever, and seeing different people rise up to whether you want to say fame or influence or whatever, who now have an audience of hundreds or thousands or millions, in their case, Joe Rogan and Alex Jones. And now we see these bigger companies starting to deplatform people, starting to shut down YouTube channels, starting to delete people's Patreons, right? All of this weird stuff that you're building something, and then they have the power to push one button and turn it all off. It's scary. They were like fighting tooth and nail to try to find their power, take their power back that they once had, and they're trying to do it. There is a war for the mind. There is a war for the media. I really think, I don't know exactly, but when we're looking up, media Persia, I really think that even that word in and of itself comes from some like pagan god stuff or whatever the case is, man. Just to understand the power of media, the power of marketing, colors, programming, all of this type of stuff that they're using. It's a war for your mind. Renitha says, really, Patreon? Yep. Jack Conte is the founder of Patreon, and they've come under attack, and a lot of big names are pulling their support from Patreon and putting it in other platforms or whatever, because they don't like Jack Conte's political beliefs, or they've actually deleted some people who have off of their platform who have made racist statements. So, and then they found out that they said that, and they deleted their platform. And some people think that's okay. Some people are upset that they have that much power. Then there's, well, it's a private corporation. They can do what they want to do. What does that mean? Like that, just because you believe something that they don't believe. So it's really weird, man, about what, like, moving forward, this technology thing, because they've found a way to, like, I don't know, become partners with the large companies. You know what I'm saying? They're all tied in with the same ad revenue people. I mean, it was even said that what's his name? Jack Dorsey, I guess that's his name, Jack Dorsey, the guy from Twitter, also created the Cash App. And Joe Rogan gets a lot of money from the Cash App if you use this promo code and all that. So like all of these people are tied in together to control the narrative, and it's getting weird because there was so much power in free thought. There's so much power in just creating your own platform, but it's like they're fighting tooth and nail to keep it. Christian says, doesn't Facebook have bots as well to create negative feeds? Yeah, they actually throttle. They throttle. And I'll show you. I'll just show you this. Okay. I'm gonna show you. Like, this is crazy. So, we'll just look at that picture. I'm gonna pull up my that post again that I posted. So this same meme or whatever, right? I'm gonna show you it on my page, and then I'll show it to you on my TruthSeekah page just to see. So I think I have 5,000 friends now on here. I think it said I had, yeah, like right at 5,000 friends or whatever. Anyway, this meme that I uploaded, and I just covered it. Let me just see what the exact number is. My reach here is crazy, like super crazy. 16 shares, and we'll just say 112 likes. Handful of comments. All right, that's with 5,000 friends. We'll go here to my TruthSeekah page, which you have to buy ads for and all that kind of stuff now, because they know that you're spending money on ads. They want you to, this is something like in the early days, like we worked really hard to kind of market ourselves and get ourselves out there, and build our audience or whatever. If you see right here, I have 14,000 likes. These are organic likes. This is how many likes that actually like my fan page. 14,000 and 665. And then if we go down to the same meme, they let 186 people see it. I got 14,000 likes. 186 people saw it. Six likes. That's crazy. They want me to pay to have that. It's the same picture, same meme. Potentially more people could see it because there's 14,000 people liked it. So like we worked hard to get like a following or an influence or whatever the case is over for years, really. And now they've changed it. They've throttled your reach. Where I have 14,000 likes and they let and this 186 is high. Like that did good, because usually the reach is like 30. They let 30 people see it. Ain't that crazy? 30 people see it. That is insane. The algorithms, man. They want you to pay. You have to pay to play in this. It's so crazy. Trying to find my right view. But let's see here in the comment section. Ever since media, everything got weird in a good way and in a bad way. It was looking good for us for a long time, man. Just because like we're taking the power back. We're like, turn off the TV. Nobody watches that anymore. They're, all of these people, they're losing ad revenue. All of this stuff, it's crazy. Now they're just fighting tooth and nail. Richie said he reposted the meme. There you go. I mean, it's weird. I don't even want to use that page anymore. Like it's just there now. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just weird. They throttle it. And I was gonna say they throttle conservative content. They throttle conservative content. You could just even try. You can go into your I don't know exactly how to get to it right off. Let's see. I used to. And Chris Bars is joining us in the chat, and I've showed him this before, but you can actually go to like your settings in your Facebook, and they have you labeled for your political affiliation. You didn't set it. Like, they've seen what you've liked and what you've shared, and they say, okay, this is a white conservative. Okay, this is a staunch liberal, whatever the case is. I don't even know exactly how to get that right off. I used to, but there's a way. You can actually look it up, though, if you want to do it yourself and just see what they've said you are. And they have you labeled as something. And yes, if you're a conservative, they throttle your post. They do not like conservative articles. And that's proven. Christian says, do you think the occult created a way for the media to leverage to drop seeds in people's minds to be more careless and emotionless and spread evil? Definitely, man. Just look at the power of it. Why do you think that they're throttling the post? It's what Craig was just talking about. Because people are scrolling Facebook and their minds are being reprogrammed. They're scrolling Facebook and their minds are being reprogrammed and they don't even know it. It's the labyrinth. Don't even know it. So yeah, they know the power in that. So let's pull back this God stuff. Let's pull back the religious stuff. Let's pull back this stuff. And we have an agenda. We have a narrative that we're trying to control. It's leftists. I mean, listen to them. I mean, listen. Who is it? Milo Yiannopoulos said that, you know what I'm saying, the right lost Hollywood. If you come out in Hollywood and say you're conservative or you believe in a God or the Christian God, you're laughed at and mocked. Hollywood is super left, man. Most of it's anti-God, anti-Christ. So why would they promote good religious content or good right-wing political stuff? It's all it's weird. So yeah, it's because it's retraining the mind. It's reprogramming the way people think. So that's why they throttle it. It's an agenda. It's scary, but Fluman says it pegged him as a Democrat. Well, you probably liked one too many memes from a certain company or something. Who knows? Let's see. But yeah, Zach says, would you mind sharing your thoughts on the Rosicrucians? I talked a little bit about them in some past interviews, but I can only just speak on what I know, which is not much. I'll say about as far as like reading what they're about, sounds beautiful. I'm not a member. I've thought about it. As far as reading what they believe, it sounds like most of the stuff we talk about on this podcast. Teaching people to embrace their psychic abilities, the ESP, meditation, connecting with the higher self, connecting with God, those type of things. That when you look up their websites and read their tenets and stuff, it sounds beautiful. So that's all, and that's literally all I know about the Rosicrucians. Renita says, you just need people to engage and share. I just shared. She says the algorithm has changed so much. Let me see any more comments here. Garner says, I don't think there has to be a they to spread evil. See, that's weird too, because that's one thing that I've noticed on like a lot of Joe Rogan stuff when he's talking to these leftist people or even some more conservative people. Joe Rogan never talks about a they. A they, like he doesn't believe in a they. He doesn't believe in a cabal or people who push the button. They think it's just algorithms. but that there's not people who are controlling the narrative, or someone who's throttling a post, or he doesn't believe in a they. He just believes in, like, it just is. It's just the way it. But I don't believe that at all. I believe that there's people about behind it. So. Heather says, I even think it's those who don't know they're in the game, but they're being used as puppets. Definitely. They're being used, their energy. Like, somebody needs their energy to keep this machine working. So yeah, you're being used for something. Christy says most religions they promote on movies is only Catholic. Yeah. The prison guards don't have to know they're the prison guards, is what Garner says. That's good. But even if as long as you're paying them, they don't care. As long as they got that paycheck coming, right? While Renita says, have any thoughts on the Doreen Virtue article? Her saying that is the devil. Her A to Z list of New Age beliefs, that's the devil. I almost went live last week and wanted to cover each one of her points, but I knew that would take a long time because she's got a lot of them. She went in on every New Age term or every spiritual term and just crapped on it all and said all of it was demonic, like most Christians do. Most, not all. I thought about going live and just doing that, but that may be a 4-hour podcast. Who knows? Or maybe rewriting the article, or just showing you a biblical take on each and every one of those topics that came up. What does the Bible say about crystals? What does the Bible say about aliens? What does the Bible, and that's a lot of things she used, ghost, ESP, all of that kind of stuff, right? I thought about doing it, but it would take forever, whether I was, doing it in article form or just commentary on the podcast. And I looked it up, and a lot of people have done it. A lot of people have given their take on Doreen Virtue and her coming out. She was like one of the bigger names in the New Age, for those of you who don't know. And she just became a Christian, kind of did the whole Stephen Bancar's thing. They just poop on everything. Like, everything's demonic to them. Everything. So I thought about it, but then I looked it up and seen it was like they're beating it, like everybody's beating it with like a dead mule or whatever. So I don't want to just jump on a band. I don't want to jump on a bandwagon. I'm jumping off. Don't do it. Do something different. Truth. That's just how I am, But that's what I do, though. I mean, I do that with every single one of these shows, Let's see. What is your take? Christian says, what is your take on people that have been in traumatic experiences in a future, but got sent to the past by their own mind power? A lot of people say that the mind is the most uncomprehending God complexity. That's weird. I don't really know about that. They had trauma in the future, but got sent to the past. So a lot of people are stuck where they have had their traumas. Like, you're stuck there. You're reliving it all the time in that age. The beautiful thing about Christ for me is the fact that I believe like Christ has the power to transcend space and time and go into your past. I believe that Christ, not as a time traveler, but just that one who holds time in the palm of his hand, has the ability to go into your past and erase stuff. It never happened. Calls you justified, just if I'd never done it. And so I don't have to suffer from that trauma anymore, because he goes into my past and erases it, cleans it up, and puts something beautiful there, so that I'm not affected by that trauma. That's the healing I don't want to suppress it. I don't want to put a Band-Aid on it, but to really right the wrong and to essentially undo it like it's never happened, just if I'd never done it, just as if I've never experienced that, to go back and do that. A lot of people have given Christ their past, their sins, the dirt that they've done. Christ, God, whatever, you find healing. Not a lot of people have given Christ their future. You can give him your past, that's good. Give him your future. Every waking moment. That's a whole new realm. You have to be conscious of it. Because most of us, I've given you my bad. Take all the bad stuff. Take the good stuff too. Take it all. All right. JC Perez says the way to break through the corporate controlled media is to collaborate together. Man, there's power in numbers. Like everybody's saying, sharing post out, sharing the podcast, networking. I've built, and I have to be honest, I've built this through networking. Like I've created my own content and I've did my own hard work, but to get it out there, I've networked with people, and I still do. I still, that's still the blueprint for me. Still is. It's working. It's worked, So yeah, there's definitely power in numbers and collaborating together, cross promoting. It helps if you have something to bring to the table versus just like asking for a handout or whatever. But I still meet people where they are, I do podcasts with people who have 20 subscribers, and with the intention of, hey, that's 20 people who don't know who I am, who don't know my message, who don't know what I bring to the table. You have to do that as well. I think it's a good thing. And then you get those 20, or we'll say if you get 3 people out of that 20, you do another one. You get 7 people out of that 30. You just keep going, and eventually, there's people who are riding with you who jumped on board somewhere. And if we just look at that story, it's beautiful to me. Like we just look at everybody who's active in the chat, like every week, every time we go live, every time we're building. You guys are part of the community. You guys aren't just viewers anymore. But there was a certain point where you jumped on and you stayed on. I mean, people come and go all the time. You're going to get those views, you're going to get those clicks. But to see the ones who stay, like where did you find my work? Where did you what resonated with you? What offended you? And then something else resonated. Like sometimes it takes time. There's a lot of people come on. It's like, this guy's crazy. This guy is a religious nut. This guy's a new ager. This guy. You hear everything from different people. But if they continue listening, if they continue watching, a lot of times they'll find something that resonates with them. And so, and it's beautiful with me about what I bring to the table. And I love that about just your story in general, Christ. Like where was you when he found you? We got to talk about Jesus, man. Renitha says, yes, it triggered me seriously, was upset for several reasons, especially since several of my tarot decks have her name on them. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are mad at Doreen Virtue because she became a millionaire off of the new age. And now she's reneging and like, hop, tricked you, but we got to understand, most of us have or will or would do what she's doing. It's just a part of the process. It's the pendulum, baby. It's the pendulum. When you renege, when you go back, when you find a greater truth, maybe she's right, maybe she's wrong, it doesn't matter. The fact is that the pendulum is swung back in the other direction, and she's self-sabotaging. The weird thing is that they're speaking as experts to someone who is a baby to even their own faith. The Bible says you have a zeal without knowledge. You have a knowledge of the new age. You have a knowledge of the occult or whatever, but it's subjective. Where will you be when the pendulum hits you? I know where I was. You can probably dig up some stuff on me. You can find stuff out there. There's articles, there's videos, you know. Where will you be? Don't grow weary in well-doing. Don't. Look, anytime you want to self-sabotage, check yourself before you wreck yourself. There's a better way to do it. There's a better way to do it. Don't do it. I hate it, man. It's scary. I've done it. I have grace and compassion for those people who are doing it because I've done it, you know. You just renege and just try to undo everything. And a lot of Christians do that. And I'll say this because like anything that is not all Jesus is demonic. If it's not in the Bible, it's demonic. They just undo everything. You know what? I'm going to get closer to Christ. I'm going to stop listening to New Age. I'm confused. I've been listening to TruthSeekah. I've been listening to Doreen Virtue. I've been listening to Manly P. Hall. I've been listening to Jordan Maxwell. They're all saying different things. I got to get back to Christ. And they'll cut ties. You'll never hear from people again. People will come into your life and be close. And then something will happen. They go to church. The Holy Spirit touches them. You'll never hear from them again. I've done it. I pray that I don't do it again. It causes a lot of damage. It is self-sabotage. It's natural, though. It's a natural thing. Because you're trying to get everything out of your life that doesn't represent this or doesn't represent that. There's people who do it on the other end. There's people who get into the cult and they don't want nothing to do with Christ. They don't want nothing to do with religion. They don't want nothing to do with religious people. And most of the time, right when you come out of that, it's you. Like, you're still triggered. You're still like, you're still offended. Jesus talked a lot about offense. Don't let it set in. You know, when I was talking about the other day, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Catch it, man. Don't do something in the moment that you're going to regret and you can't just undo with a simple apology. Hey, I'm sorry about that. You know, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to call you that. Hey, you did. It finally came out. You felt that way for a long time. It just finally came out. You do things, man, in the heat of the moment that you can't undo. And it's scary, man, because you can, I mean, look at relationships that you've took years to build. A marriage, a ministry, a business, self-sabotaging. Can't do that moving forward. Can't do it. You got to learn. Fluman says, here's a question, TruthSeekah. What if someone doesn't know it's self-sabotage? They usually don't. Because you're so caught up in the moment, you can't be mindful about what's really going on. You can't look at the pattern. See, I was doing it so often that I had to be like, damn, here it comes again. Literally. Like, it was a daily thing for me for a short period of time of just trying to figure out who I was and my calling and what is God and what is Jesus and what is ministry, what are friends, what is a website, you know, all of that. I'm trying to figure everything out. And I was freaking out. I was freaking out. It was hard. And I look at my friends who are going through it. So I have grace for you. I'm praying for you. I know it's hard. But then I have to, like, you look at the pendulum. Damn, it's coming back. The pendulum is a wrecking ball. When it comes back, it will destroy everything you're building. It'll destroy everything back. Come at you like a wrecking ball. Hey, don't let it come back, man. I'm telling you, like, you're building something, that pendulum, come back. Wow. Make sure in this moment that which you're building, those relationships you're creating, make sure you have a peace about them. That's of God, not of superstition, not of fear. Superstition's a big word. That's the difference between being spiritual and superstitious. A lot of religious people, they're just superstitious. They're not spiritual. They're afraid of everything. Afraid of black cats. Afraid to walk under a ladder. They're not spiritual. But it's, and I'm being, I try to laugh about this stuff, but it is serious. Like, we're talking about people's lives. We're talking about people's mental stability. Their mental health. One day they're here, the next day they're gone, and how often. But for me, it was I got used to it. I knew what it felt like when it was coming, because it was just a short period of time, maybe a good year, maybe 2. But I would sometimes go days, sometimes I would go months, sometimes I would go weeks, and it got further as I was getting used to the self-sabotage. It got further and further apart. Like, I was able to do better before I swung back, and just deleted everything, and deleted Facebooks, and deleted posts, and deleted music videos, and deleted album discographies, and all of this kind of stuff, because it's like, this is not, what Christ would want. Or it really came down to this is not what the church would want, really. Church, most of it doesn't have anything to do with Christ, because at the end of the day, you find out that the real you is deep down in there, and those feelings and desires and questions are there for a reason. And if you want the truth, you have to ask questions. If you want the answers, you've been told not to ask. You've been told not to seek. You've just been told to sit down and be quiet and just believe what we tell you. And so breaking out of that and what that does to your friendships, your parents, your finances. I have friends who are financially supported by their family if they do ministry. If they depart, the finances depart. They knew that. So they're swayed by the people. They're swayed by the almighty dollar. And it's just different for everybody. But religion plays a big part of it. And it's not to knock Christianity. It's not to knock God or mock Christ or anything, because those are beautiful. But it's when you tie all the other BS in with it and all the rules and regulations. That's what the Pharisees did. And that's who Christ's enemy was. The religious leaders of the day. Hold on. The scriptures don't say that. They're just adding all of this extra stuff. Like, hold on. What do you mean? That's not even... And people were obeying the laws of men over the laws of God. And you want to break out of that. You need to break out of it. It's different for everybody, man. But I'm telling you, that pendulum, I've lost some good friends over that. And the sad thing is, and then not to speak it into existence, but you're going to lose more. There's friends that I've had this conversation with. We're both mindful of it, and they still do it. We're both mindful of the pendulum. We're both mindful of what it looks like, what it feels like. But guess what? Here it comes. It's coming. This too shall pass. That's why I'm in the moment. That's why I cherish every moment. I don't know when the last time I'll see you will be. And that's a crazy way to approach it, but hey, it's truth. I don't know when the last time I'll see you on many levels, because I cherish people. I cherish friendship, loyalty, honesty, camaraderie. The Bible says that when we have a friend, when we're going through the valley, we have somebody who will stay closer than a brother. The Bible says iron sharpens iron. That you have to take that those swords and shing, shing, sharpen them together. Sharpen the swords. Iron sharpens iron. You have to have somebody there with you to do that. The Bible talks about like when you glory, when you have a victory in your life, if you have people around you, you can glory with them. Not, hey, I did it, but hey, we did it. Yeah. It's still fun to glory by yourself, but it's not as fun when you don't have nobody to celebrate your victories with or to go through the dark night with. Like, you need people with you. Like, friendship, camaraderie, it means the world to me. It really does. Chris Barr says, it gets scary, but be aware. Be a werewolf. You got to be aware. Don't let it happen. Hopefully you can feel it. And for the people who don't know what it feels like or what it is, Josh Fluman, maybe they'll hear a podcast like this and maybe they'll feel it coming. Okay. Because you have to be mindful. You get triggered. You want to go back. You want to undo things. It is part of the process, though. But you can make it a lot easier. You can make it a lot easier. Heather and so it looks like Heather, Allie, and Renitha all are saying that I should do a biblical take on Doreen Virtue's post. You know what I should do? Even though everybody's doing it, I don't think there's a biblical take. I think there's a New Age take on it, and they're mad because they lost one of their own, right? So they're mad. But I don't think that there's a biblical take to a lot of these accusations that she's made and calling everything demonic. Everything isn't demonic. Garner says, but the spread of evil isn't always just from the individuals spread it by what they put their attention on and share out. It's part of the problem. Keep scrolling. True, man. But if you are the gatekeeper about what shows up when you scroll, you just got to pick. It's like pick the lesser of two evils. Well, it's either Democrats or Republicans. It's either, Trump or Hillary, and they're both evil, man, but you got to pick one. No, there's other people. Like, you don't have to vote at all. You don't have to pay attention. So, Renita says, can I send her these decks back and get my devil? To say that everything is demonic is a way of hiding the truth, Heather says. Let me just scroll through some of these. Renita says it's all about balance, finding peace and balance. You want to be open with people too, whether it happens with people, because most people, when you meet them, you only see one side. Then you see this other side that comes out. Sometimes it's months or even years until you see the other side, though, and that some people are like, nope, can't go there. Sorry. So. Read through these comments. Renita says, you just described how I feel about my former life in the Christian arena. They're just gone. I can't see my own fear of rejection. I can see how my own fear of rejection caused me to self-sabotage. I could have made changes differently. Yeah. I know, Renita. It's scary. Kinsey Omega says, truth. Fear is something we as a collective need to admit. Yeah. Santiago says, relationships, friendships, they are all work to maintain. None of it is easy. A lot of forgiveness is going to be given and taken. Yeah. In that. But that's understandable. But don't self-sabotage. There are things you cannot take back. And what we talked about that even last week, talking about how the scripture goes into a lot of detail. You'll be judged by the words that you say. Once you create something, your words are powerful. You need to understand that. You created this. You're creating this. You created it and you're creating it. That's why we're doing the podcast on the Labyrinth, retraining the nodes of the mind, being conscious of your words, being conscious of your thoughts, being conscious of what you entertain, because you're creating it. You got to be careful. Which what we're doing, like, learning how to prophesy over yourself, prophesy over your situation. We did that Sunday in the seer class, and really, I'd like to get in the flow state and prophesy over people as well. But the whole thing is you being able to prophesy over yourself, to be able to start speaking to the things that are not as though they were, stepping out in faith, as the Bible says, to the things that are not as though they were. Creating as you speak, which is what the magical term abracadabra literally means. I create it as I speak it. I'm about to show you. Oh, you don't believe me? Watch this. Abracadabra. Bam. There it is. Created it. Made it. Now you can create it all you want. Maintaining it is another story. Create it all you want. We all creating. How about maintaining, especially the good stuff? Christian says, sounds like they are scaring themselves with thoughts, religious views, scaring each other to make them aware of the guilt, but making good choices is good. Yeah, you overthink it. You start fear, false evidence appearing real. You're scaring yourself about crazy stuff that won't even matter. It's not even a threat to you. What's tough nowadays is everyone's level of sensitivity. Some get offended easier than others, Yeah. That's right, Santiago. Let's see. Thomas says, have you tried nootropics or smart drugs? Yeah, I've actually tried Alpha Brain and New Mood from Joe Rogan's On It. I don't know if I can literally feel them, the big thing with that to me is probably even placebo. Take 2 of these. It'll help you speak better. It'll help you stay focused. It'll help your mind fire. Placebo. I take them. I'm getting ready to formulate my sentences better. I'm conscious now because I took those. So I believe in placebo over, who knows? Because I don't know if it literally transformed or helped things to fire off better in my mind. So I have taken those, but I do believe in microdosing psilocybin, magic mushrooms. Now I have done several podcasts where I would do that and just take a little bit, like less than a gram, just a couple bites, just get it in your system. Just suck on it. Get it in your gums. So I do that. So yeah, I do microdosing, and I can tell that makes you more connected. It makes you more sensitive to everything. But Garner says gatekeepers have the real power. I mean, I know we've talked about it before, but what about the gatekeepers in like ufology, the gatekeepers in the spiritual communities? We're talking about sharing platforms, and we're talking about this exchange of power, how a little channel like mine or whatever can have such influence, and then other people get afraid that they're losing subscribers or they're losing an audience to a newcomer or somebody different. You talk about the gatekeepers. Look at the gatekeepers in this realm. A huge example is Bill Ryan from Project Avalon, who was with Carrie Cassidy, Project Camelot, and that and so I've had an encounter with him where he like blocked me off of their platform and stuff with the forum that I used to share my stuff on. He blocked me off of there, and I've seen him also. You see him really viciously attacking Corey Good. I believe Corey Good is. I don't believe Corey Good. So put it that way. But you see him being very outspoken when it comes to Corey Good, and they're trying to hold on to their platform. he essentially is a gatekeeper to ufology and some of the spiritual spirituality from, you know, being the early days, Project Camelot, when that's all we had, you know, and you could see them just like the CNNs and the C-SPANs and all of these other networks are struggling for ratings and struggling for views. Bill Ryan is feeling it too. Because I tell him, I get him on my show. I told Carrie Cassidy, look, I'm doing what I'm doing because of you. Like, was influenced by your work. Thank you for bringing it to the table. But they feel some of that pushback. Like, why are you hanging out on my live stream versus theirs? You know what I'm saying? They feel it, quite literally. Shout out to Love Thy Enemy. Come on here, says, peace, I gotta go. Thomas says, modafinil is the real smart drug. I take it for night shift. Garner says, for sure, they should be conscious in this type of field, not infighting. Yeah, you see that going on, man. So they're doing what they can to preserve what they've created, you know. But at the same time, what would you do? Would you give up without a fight? Mm-mm. Fight for what you believe in. Tooth and nail. Protect it. You got to. Whatever it is, people will take it. Somebody else with more charisma, a young, stunning man comes on with a podcast, got cool-looking graphics, tapping into your audience. Cut him off. Cut him off. Yeah, it happens. I don't like that. I'm conscious of that. I'm conscious of that. That's why I try not to do it. I try to open up my platform to people who I try to find common ground. Let me find common ground with the old man, with Bill Ryan. We find common ground with these people. You know? Build on that. Yeah, cult leaders do it. I've had my fair share of run-ins with them and being a part of little groups. Thomas says, I've been seeing UFOs. I appreciate the podcast. Yeah, when he mentioned the UFO stuff, I was like, yeah, let's go in a little bit deeper on that, man. That's what sets me apart from your local minister. It's the UFOs. I like talking about the UFOs, man. It's good stuff. So, and I love hearing about other people's experiences. So for him to have very similar ones was really cool. So, yeah, I talked about everything I was going to talk about. You know, it was a good show. Shout out to everybody who's holding us down here in the live chat, in the live stream. Shout out to everybody listening on the podcasting apps, wherever you are, wherever you may be. Again, if you would like to join our Sunday morning SEER class, we do that every Sunday morning, and it's $12.50 a week. You can sign up by becoming a patron at the $50 level on Patreon. You have to pay monthly for that, and if you would like to do that, it would help me continue to do what I'm doing. If you believe in it, you know, if you'd like to donate to what I'm doing, all of that stuff is available at my website, TruthSeekah.com, and I don't plan on stopping. Open and honest, man. Take it and run with it. If you don't give them nothing, if you don't try to hide anything, you don't have nothing to be ashamed of or scared of. You just open and honest. But it's when you hiding stuff, that's where the dirt comes from, right? Oh, I found this out. Look, he's been doing this on the back. He's been trying to hide this. He's trying to do that. That's all the stuff people like to click on. You like to see, you like to find what you like to see people get caught. I do too. It's, you know, we live vicariously through that stuff, you know, the television shows and, you know, the clickbait stuff. We found out that he was really a shill and he's a controlled opposition. He, you know, somebody called me that the other day. They said I was like one of those agents or whatever they call them, controlled opposition or I'm a disinfo agent. Like somebody has hired me to push disinfo into the community and muddy up the water a little bit. Garner says that's the way to be accepting, is the foundation to build on. Yeah, man. But then again, like you still have to protect it. So there's a bit of protecting, even though that you're open. You know, just like somebody come in and try to just like bully what you built. You know what I'm saying? And there's rules. Maybe I broke the rules. Kinsey says, yeah, the talk about the UFO and everything is the best part. The stuff that never gets the shine. Peace. I haven't really experienced UFOs anymore or tried. Yeah, I don't experience them a lot anymore. I'm living off of I'm living in the wake of it. You know what I'm saying? Even though it blows my mind and I love seeing them, like what's another sighting going to do? And I've talked about this openly. Like, how many do you need? How many UFOs do you need to see before you get the message? How many UFOs do you need to see till you find out how to communicate with it or whatever it is, right? But I still enjoy stargazing, and it reminds me and it brings me back, and when you do see them, it does kickstart something in your heart, that awe and wonder. So Kippy Ween says a Russian spy, LOL. Rab says, can you speak more on the UFO stuff? I'll answer any questions that I can if anybody has any questions. Like, I don't really have a lot to say on it, I guess. Maybe I did earlier. I talked about, some beautiful sightings and experiences. I will say that next Tuesday, I'm interviewing a guy by the name of Calvin Parker, who, if you look up his story, he look up the Pascagoula UFO abduction encounter. I think it was back in the 70s when this happened or something. So supposedly him and his friend was abducted while they were fishing in Pascagoula, Mississippi. I'm having him on the show next Tuesday, but part of me wants to go and interview him in person, just because I haven't done that, just because it's something different, because he only lives about 30 minutes away. And really cool thing is the fact that I had a lot of UFO encounters in the same place where he supposedly was abducted. That's it's right by this rest area. Like, it's not even 100 yards away. It's like literally at the rest area it's not in it, but it's like on the side of it. But I used to stop there early morning, between 3 and 4 in the morning, and stargaze and make contact. And I would see all types of UFO phenomena. And I want to talk to him about it because it's in the same place. Part of me wants to go to the spot with a camera and interview him there. Should I do that? I wouldn't be live when I did it, I don't think, but it would still be content. Maybe I can do both. I don't know. But part of me wants to do that, especially because, like, in the Bible Belt, you don't have a lot of people talking about UFOs or abductions or aliens or even spirituality out in the public. You're laughed at and mocked and all this kind of stuff, ridiculed. I'm making it cool. I'm making it hip. You could do it in Alabama. You could do it in Mississippi. So that being said, I have to drive, fly to California to go to a seminar or to talk to these people. They're all in California and Denver, literally. Like, that's where they, we don't have a lot of people in Alabama. So the fact that he is close, I really feel like I should go and talk to him. Let's see. Christian says, right on. 1 or 3 is fine with me. Yeah, 1 or 3 is really good, man. 1 is good, really. I haven't even done that in a while. You just brought it back to me with stargazing. Yeah. Kinsey says, the part of talking, expressing of it for so long, we eventually start integrating the messages into experiences. Yeah. JC says, have you ever heard L.A. Marzulli philosophy on UFO? Yeah, I started out listening to a lot of L.A. Marzulli just because I've always had a fascination with UFOs, but then having a lot of dreams about aliens and weird stuff in my dreams, started to get into it a little bit more. Started looking up videos in the early days of YouTube. Found a website called BibleUFO.com. Really broadened my perspective on a biblical view of UFOs in a beautiful way of seeing how they relate back to angels from BibleUFO.com, and just having all of that stuff there. And then I found a video, Prophet Yahweh, a man summons UFOs, and they caught it on camera. So all of that stuff just shot me deep into studying. And then I was studying because I was a Christian in a Christian church. So I was doing all the research and finding all the Christian ufologists. And then there's a bunch of them. So I'm listening to hours of L.A. Marzulli presentations, L.A. Marzulli interviews, Guy Malone. There's just so many of them. Derek Gilbert, all of PID Radio, and they're all from a Christian perspective. But the Christian perspective on ufology is that they're demons who fly around in spacecraft. I don't believe that. So I started approaching it from, let me listen to other people. So the Christians have a bias. It's all demonic, demons. And they have some interesting stuff to bring to the table. So, but let me listen to some other people. And then I found, and this was 2011, I found 2012 Enigma by David Wilcock. I found The Lost Children of Babylon, the spirituality linked in with UFOs, and people have had beautiful contact, and people who have went out and done similar things that Prophet Yahweh was doing, going out and summoning UFOs and them appearing, saying hello. Spirituality linked in with it. It took me just a lot deeper into it. So I felt like L.A. Marzulli in his philosophy was a bit biased. Most of the Christian stuff was that they're demons. I don't think demons drive spaceships. I'm sorry. They were kicked out of heaven. We understand what heaven is. Heaven is the sky, outer space. I looked up into the heavens and saw the sun shining in its glory. It's the heavens is outer space. They were kicked. The fallen angels fell. They don't fly around. They had that ability taken from them. They were kicked out of heaven. They're on the earth with us. We're dealing with their spirits here, the spirits of their children, the Nephilim. So L.A. Marzulli, he came to Mobile. He came to my hometown just, it's been a couple months now, but I was like, people are like, you gonna go? I was like, I'm not going to see him. No. He's pushing fear. Don't make contact with UFOs. They'll kidnap you. No. Anyway, that's my L.A. Marzulli. I studied it under all the Christian stuff, and it was just, doesn't add up. They're just scared of everything. They're superstitious, man. What was the closest you were to a UFO? Okay, the closest I would say was one night that me and my daughter were stargazing, and I was teaching. She was little. I was teaching her how to see angels. We're gonna ask God to show us angels and just stargaze. And then I'm looking up, and then I had one come down over my house. It came down really low over the tree line right behind us, and was real bright orange. And even though you're opening up doors to all this stuff, and you know the scriptures that go with it that promote beautiful contact, conscious contact, and hear all the stories that those movies still come back. Those scary movies of UFO abductions still come back. And I got scared, it came down really low. It was just above the tree line, and I yelled at my daughter, go, get inside. We started running inside, scared I'm going to be abducted and taken away. Then I'm like, wait, no, it's happening. I made this happen. Like I summoned it. Then I stopped and said, wait, no. Let's look at it. No, run inside. So anyway, in that moment, there's still a weird fear there that what if you are picked up? So anyway, that was like the closest that I've seen, that I've had it come down. But then again, if you do summon UFOs or you're trying to make contact, they're really taking a risk to come down and show themselves to you. I talk about like, what is the karma behind you summoning a UFO, and then like Craig was saying, the government shoots at them. So what if you summon it comes down and say, hello, here I am, and it gets shot out the air because it come to say hello to you? what is the karmic backlash from that? You know, that you caused an angel to get shot out of the air or something. That's just crazy. Kippy says, do a vlog. Christian says, I have blank memories of aliens, to be honest, brightful color lights and being taken to, but I don't really talk about it. I'm actually sure until I'm actually sure, so I leave it alone. Yeah, I hear you on that. Renita says, my husband just called to tell me that what you were saying on the podcast had a bad day yesterday too. Yesterday was so weird, man. I'm glad I feel different, man. I literally had to cry in my wife's arms. Like, she just came home from work and I was just like, what's wrong? I was like, nothing. And I just had to hug her and just let it go. I don't know. Sometimes you just got to do that, man. You got to release it. You got to cry, man. Dabasky says that would be awesome to do a face-to-face. Yeah, I should do that. Santiago says, do it. Hit me up. I'll help record it with video and audio. Come down. We got to do it now because he's about to go back into hiding, man. Take the trip. Come say hello, man. And we'll do it. We'll do it, man. Renita says he's not watching the podcast. It just feeling his spirit to tell me. Wow. Shed Talk Show is done here in Calgary, and they cover a lot of UFO stuff. Dabasky says. Deb Casey, I think that's your name. Even without personal experience, the sheer amount of credible cases is proof enough. Richard Dolan is a good place to learn about official UFO cases. Yeah, I was subscribed to his channel, but they've been like real spammy with their live streams. Though I had to unsubscribe or just mute the live stream. I think they go live like every day or something. I don't know. Of just rambling, just the same stuff over and over and over and over. Christian said, I just always remember being scared of them, like deadly terrified, and try to take something from the ship for proof because I remember a silver table. Yeah, I was terrified as well, man. Like all of those experiences and encounters and stuff from all those movies, you know. It's pretty scary. I don't want that to happen to me. Like, I've seen Fire in the Sky when I was like 7. The movie Fire, and it messed me up because it said based on a true story. Oh, so monsters are real. Okay. This is how they come. Oh, Lord, they come and take you in the middle of the night. Oh, it scared me. And then I went to church, and I was 7, a backwoods Baptist church. The preachers are spitting and screaming, red face, hellfire. He's one of those preachers. And they started talking about aliens. They started talking about fire in the sky, and that's the only thing I remember. I don't remember none of the sermons on hell and all that crazy stuff. I don't remember, but when he started talking about aliens, I perked up. Oh, fire in the sky. They're demons. You know, I remember that jump. Rab says what it looked like. I think you're talking about the UFO. I would say more like it was really like the whole thing was like lit up bright orange, glowing, maybe like a football almost. The whole thing was orange. It wasn't just like a headlight or whatever. Like the whole thing was glowing bright orange, and it was down low. I've seen so many different ships though over the years, and you know, there's this. You want to know what it looks like out there? I'll show you. Like, let's see. I know I posted this on my page the other day. Let me try to find this. I want to show you what it looks like in space. There's a picture. If we understand as above, so below, as within, so without, that's one thing that we have to understand when it comes to everything. The kingdom of heaven, God, space, aliens, UFOs, everything. This principle has something to do with it. And I'm going to try to find this post that I shared the other day. But dang, I post so much stuff on Facebook, don't I? So let me show you guys this video. This is what it looks like in let's see. Bing, right here. What did it look like? I've seen so much stuff like this And this is what you should look for when you're stargazing. For those of you watching, for those of you who aren't, I'm sorry, this is not going to, if you're just listening to this, it's not going to be good. But there's this, what we're looking at is a unicellular organism called a Phacus altus. It is able to make its own food, and just listen to the abilities of these things. This is not outer space. This is with a microscope. The abilities that these things have. You want to know what they look like and what they do? First of all, let's just say, look in the ocean. As above, so below. We're like in this middle ground on Earth. As we look to the ocean and all of the weird beings, the octopus who can change colors and change shape and go invisible, the fish with lights coming off of their foreheads, there's just so many weird things that are in the ocean. So essentially, when you look up, it's like looking into another ocean. And I'm not into flat Earth, but I will say that looking, there was a theory that the flat earthers talk about as far as like Earth being in a dome and there being water outside of the dome. Now, I don't necessarily believe in this, but this is interesting. That there being water outside of the dome or the firmament. And the Bible talks about the firmament separates the two waters. Maybe it's the water below us and the water above us, right? Let's just think for a minute. And as you look at the stars, they say that the stars look like a light shining from underwater. Like if you take a light and you put it in the water and it shines up and it's moving and it's kind of like glistening and moving and stuff like that. If you stare at a star or you zoom in on a star, it looks a lot like that. It does. I will say that they do look like light shining under the water. And so people are saying that those lights or whatever are in the water, but the water of space. It's interesting. Maybe we have the water below and the water above, like the Bible says, and maybe we're in a bubble or in a dome or something like that. And you have don't quote me and call me a flat earther. I'm not, but I think it's interesting because the things that we're looking at underwater resemble some of the things that you can see in space. And there's videos that I need to make these videos. This would be a great video to make, but there are other videos that I've seen of space. They call them omnis. I don't know if that's I don't even know exactly what that term means. Somebody share it in the chat if you know what an omni is. I think it's just another word for UFO or whatever, or some type of life form. But there's videos that look exactly like this I'm showing you right now. This isn't water. So this is microscopic unicellular organism called the Phacus altus. It is able to make its own food through photosynthesis. Also, it can gain nutrients by absorbing them from the environment. Even the way this thing is moving, it's spinning, it's rotating, it's pulling like different things out of the atmosphere into itself. I've seen these things. Not this, but something that looks like it, magnetized. It wouldn't be this small. This is a microscopic organism. But the weird thing is just to understand, even through spirituality and understanding spiritual warfare, that there is a war that is going on and you don't even know it. There are beings at war, literally, on your skin. They're fighting over the promised land. Maybe the promised land for them is your elbow. Get creative. Maybe it's your elbow. Maybe it's your nose. Maybe inside of your nose is the promised land. And there are these different little microscopic bugs entities. Some of them are cute, but they're powerful. They have different abilities, like Pokemon. They can do stuff. They can make you feel dizzy. If you don't cultivate them right, or you help with the war, they'll do things to you and make you sick. You have to exterminate them and eradicate them off of your skin. But they're at war with each other. To them, you're like God, the earth, and they don't even know you exist. They don't even know that you're conscious. They're so small, they couldn't even see you if they wanted to. All they see is like a blur, because you're so big. Ren says Omni is combining form all of all things, omniscient in all ways, places, or omnipotent. Okay. Look, this gets interesting, y'all. Dumbledore says birds fight worms and snakes. Yeah, they're fighting for dominance. Archons is what Chris Garner says. That's the Gnostic term. Jinn is what the Islamic term, but that's more of a genie, actually. So they're fighting for dominance, man. These all types of little beings on your skin. So we got what they might look like in the water, right? We got these literal warfare going on your skin, in the air around you, in your hair, on your head. What's going on in your head? Like, actually on top of your head. Like, what's in there? I don't really wash my hair a lot. I got some dreadlocks. Like, what's going on in there? Like, literally, for real. That's where they live. That's where they fight. It's the Pokemon arena where they battle. But then spiritually, demons, archons, these entities that live off of your aura, they feed off of your emotions, they feed off of your mindset. The list goes on and on. So there are these. So when you're trying to explain spiritual warfare in the way that angels and demons and all these other neutral entities, maybe there's entities that just watch what's happening to you. They don't even do. They just watch. They're just there, but they are. Sometimes you can see them. It's a whole ecosystem in each level, in the water, on your skin, and I believe spiritually as well. They until they had strong enough microscopes, they didn't know what this was on their skin, and they thought it was all demons, spirits of infirmities. It's really you didn't wash your hands after you slaughtered an animal. After you changed the diaper, you didn't wash your hands, and now you're sick. The plague came from the kid and got me. Now you're sick. Until they understood that. Germs, warfare. So this video is very interesting, man, because they even have abilities, the way they eat, the way they absorb energy, the way they die, what happens to them when they die, like all of this stuff. It gets very interesting when you understand the microscopic organism. And I'm telling you, there's so many videos, and I may put one together. I've thought about it in the past, and I may do it. I may just take this video and the other videos I'm talking about and just show them back and forth. Hey, look at this. Look at that. Look at this. Look at that. Here's a scripture. Here's a quote. Bing. Here's your video. I may do it. It looks a lot similar. Now, I've seen these. I haven't seen this thing I'm showing you on video. These are microscopic organisms. But I've seen things in outer space that look exactly like this. And even when you look in space, these dots and these little things look like stars and stardust. And there's videos that look exactly like this. Let's just play it. Look at that. Look at those worms. This guy here, the green ones are unicellular organisms called the Unguladesis. They have red eye spots and can detect light. Let me go back and read it. Can detect light it helps edites to find bright areas to gather sunlight to make food, pretty much using photosynthesis is what it said. They eat sunlight. They gather sunlight to make food. Look at this. Look at these beings. These are living organisms. And you vegans, when you bathe, you're killing these guys, man. They have feelings. They have a life. I bet you they have families, colonies, friends. I wonder if they self-sabotage too. I bet you they do. Like, the deeper we zoom into it, it's getting into the mold theory. When you keep zooming into mold and zooming in, like, how far does that go? Are there little microscopic entities on this little guy? This little guy right here who's moving around? He's got a job that he does. And if he doesn't do his job, these other guys take over. Watch the video. And somebody mentioned worms and dragons. And so the weird thing, when we're talking about these angels, the Bible calls them the seraphim, or the serpents, or the nakash. Nakash. The Bible says the seraphims are the fiery serpents. Serpents that look like fire when they travel the heavens. There's a lot of videos of these serpent type things floating in the air or floating in space. It looked similar to that. Here's some other little guys. Can you see their hair-like structures? They're feeding. They're communicating with one another. They change the atmosphere. They change the environment. Look at them. This is taking place. Now, like I said, this is microscopic organisms, but when you look at outer space, you'll see stuff like this, man. If you stay out there long enough. Not all the time. And then when you watch deep space videos, you'll see them. You'll compare the videos. If you watch deep space videos, they're flying by, they stop, they slow down, they change directions. Yeah, they do all that stuff. They do all that stuff. See these little guys, just little bitty dudes just moving around. I'm gonna put that video out. Look, they got like special abilities and stuff that they fight with. Oh, you know, I could do this. This joke is extending its arm. It's like a slug that can extend really far. Like, there's one that looks like a bear. What is that one, y'all? Y'all know what? Tell me what it is. It's a bear. Let's see. Microscopic. I think they said it looks like a bear. Here he is. It's a water bear. Water bears in HD. They're pretty cute. Some of them are. Look at this little guy. Is that him? Okay, there they go. The water bears, not to be confused with armor bearers. Look at this little guy. They're living on you. They're called, I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry, but they're called tardigrades. Tardigrades. They are tiny microorganisms found all over the world. Their favorite habitat is Moses and lichens, whatever that is. I don't even know. This one is magnified about 100 times using a stereo microscope with a dark field illumination. They're at war, man. He's eating. Like, he's eating waste and bacteria. He's cleaning up stuff on a microscopic level. Cleaning up stuff. Have 8 legs, but have trouble walking on a slick grass slide. These little bears, the water bears. What is your relationship with them? Does it know? Does it try to contact you? That's weird. How can it communicate? Does it bite you? You itch in the middle of the night? Like, it's insane, man. It's insane. Back to some of these questions. Let's see what you guys are talking about here. And then there's a bunch of them about the UFO, but it just opens it up, man. It opens it up. And so who was that? Somebody said, so they're not just metal nuts and bolts. They're alive. Yeah, they're alive. They're angels. They're alive. Now, I think, I can't say this about all of them, but I think that a lot of the, I don't think it's just like a universal, like this is the only way, but I think that a lot of the nuts and bolts UFOs that we're seeing are, my lab, are military, back engineered craft. I think that, the military have their own craft and stuff too that we're seeing. There's like what the T3Is or what it is, the triangle ships that we have that are silent. Like, there's so much that the military has that people might mistake for UFOs, but I'm not as concerned with the craft that are ships. I'm concerned with the occupants and the beings. And so even the word cherubim is like translated that these entities that are like, even the ships are alive. You know what I'm saying? Even the outside of the ships are alive and they have a consciousness. The way that it operates, totally like, you know what I'm saying, defies anything that we can dream up or see in a movie, They get into a lot of it. It's deep though. You watch these movies, even Star Wars is a big one. They let a lot of that information out in Star Wars, talking about the angels and who live on a certain planets and they can travel here and all of this kind of stuff. I've put a lot of that in my music over the years. Kinsey says, I know officially that I'm an alien and a demon for sure. It's really funny because I literally do not understand what's going on here in the paradigm. Who am I? It's all 6s and 7s is what Tech 9 would say. Garner wants to carjack the UFO. Christian said he felt bad yesterday too. Santiago says you say you're ready whenever. You just let me know, man. You let me know when you can come. If you want to do it and you want to do that, I've got some cameras too, but may need microphones or something. I got the guy's number. I can just call him. JC says the Book of Enoch. Any thought? Yeah, Book of Enoch. A lot of thought. Book of Enoch is a really good book. Enoch talks about these angels. Enoch talks about the watchers and the beings of fire, the fiery ones. So, Crypto says, what are your thoughts about YouTube taking down fake news? Do you think that this is a trend towards knowledge light that your channel brings? I do, man. I do. Like, what do you deem fake news? Fake news is something that just goes against the the narrative that's agreed upon. Thinking that, what's shared by the, the major 3 networks is news or whatever. You got to be careful too, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do think that a lot of these truthers and conspiracy guys, I think they do cause a lot of harm. And I do think that Alex Jones caused a lot of harm by saying what he said about the victims of, that school. I'm not going to even say it. I don't want that to pop up in my feed, in my algorithm. But yeah, they're taking their power back and silencing the voices that are getting big. Kinsey says the UFO is actually the body, the vessel we use to travel differently. Yep, that's what I just said even before I read your comment. A lot of people saying they had trouble yesterday. Yesterday was weird, man. Garner says Travis Walton's story he tells much different from the movie. They would put fear in the movie than what he describes. Yeah, it's interesting to hear his take now. Ren says, I'm weird. I want to meet the highly intelligent ETs with advanced technology, the pretty ones dressed in white. This is just my reference from TV. Yeah. You know what? And I've talked about this before, but James Gilliland brought up a neat idea. The fact that he says, You have to like overcome your biases, your prejudice, or it's like racism. Like, I only believe in the ones who look like these, or I only want to see the beautiful ones. The ugly ones, when they show up, I don't want to see them. Or even if you react, like if one shows up and it's hideous, or, you know, it looks deformed or something, and you're like, you know, you're scared of it. How would it make them feel? Like, oh, I knew you wasn't ready for contact, or I knew I'm ugly, or whatever. Like, that's weird to think of too, right? And so James Gilliland talks about how you have to overcome your prejudice even by the way that they look. Because some of them, you know, what if that little bear showed up, like, and it showed up in your house? Like, you'd think it was a monster, you try to kill it. Like, if it was big, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just that prejudice. No, Rab says, did the orange UFO make any noises? No, we didn't hear any noises. Man, I've seen so much, man. It changed my life. I've seen fleets of UFOs during the day. When my grandma passed away, I closed my eyes and saw weird cryptic language. It was like emotions in weird letters, symbols, with deep alien knowledge or words flashing in my third eye. That's what Christian says. Interesting. Cosmic egg theory is what Miss Casey says. I'm not really sure. I'll have to look into that. The UFO is living beings simply operating for travel. It's like our bodies shape-shifting for travel. Yeah. Thomas says, I see UFOs every night at work and during the day. Okay, so Dumbledore's aura brings this up. He says, I think they wrote that in the Bible because it rains, so therefore space must be filled with water to their minds when they didn't know space was a vacuum. Yeah, that's interesting too. Could be. I tell you what, I seen a meme. I've seen it a long time ago, but I've recently seen it again. It's just a thought that I've had. But it said, what if the government created lightning storms to cover up the sounds of UFO battling in space? Thunderstorms and lightning storms. I've always thought about that about cloud coverage, especially with chemtrails, because I would, when I was driving cross country, I would come into the major cities and start seeing it would be a clear day, and I was excited for the clear day because while I'm driving, I could be watching the sky to see if I can see any craft. And so you'd see the chemtrails, the jets come by and spray out the chemtrails, and they would expand across the whole sky. It's like, man, it almost seems like they're cloud seeding, trying to cover up, like they know that there's going to be UFOs traveling or something in the area, so they're trying to cover it up. And it's an interesting thought. And it's interesting about the the parasites and stuff too, because the ancient cultures believed, and they had stories, and they had ancient prayers that would banish the worms and the great dragons and all of that, and to cleanse the body of these worms that have come to kill the body. And there's ancient prayers written. I've got some of them on my website. Let me try to go through some of these more comments. Shamans open gateways that are meant to remain closed in your mind, that enables your consciousness to link up with other life forms' consciousness. I agree with that, but I don't agree with the fact that they were meant to stay closed. Like, if they're meant to stay closed, why would they even be there? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they help people too. Shamans also are able to close those doors that come open by themselves, or you're born with them open. Especially, there's a scripture, and this has been a beautiful scripture to me and a promise, but it talks about Jesus being able to open doors that no man can open, and close doors that no man can close. That's been beautiful to me. When I've opened doors that I can't close, whether it's through some type of philosophy that came in and took my mind for some weeks or years, and then I'm like, man, there's no way I can unlearn this. There's no way I can turn back to the simplicity of the gospel that is in Christ. I'm in too deep now. And then just simply with confession and prayer, justified, just if I had never learned it. God restores all things. So opening up doors and closing them, man, the power that Christ has to do that, which is a true shaman, the work of a shaman, being able to go into those realms and do that. Brianna says, I had a coworker that said the reason she believed the Bible is the truth because of how there was instructions to be hygienic written before germs were a concept. They didn't play about hygiene, man. And I was just thinking about this like yesterday. Like if you spilled sperm on yourself, you were unclean. You were ceremonially unclean. Don't show up. If you spilled sperm on yourself, if a woman was, menstruating, you weren't supposed to be on the same bed as her because it was different. Then they had pillows that they carried. It's just a different time. But yeah, they had laws and things like, so a lot of the laws in the Bible were like hygiene laws and about how to wash your hands and how to clean meat and cook it. Don't drink the blood, like all of that stuff. All of that stuff. I don't know if I would, I don't know if it proves the Bible, but it's interesting concepts nonetheless. Dumbledore says those are the primary producers. Without them, there would be no life. Talking about those little microscopic entities. Yeah, we wouldn't, the way we experience life. Like those are the beings behind the scenes. And I've also been given revelation of different angels and beings, essentially some that look like lamb that Aleister Crowley was in contact with, that they hold the fabric of time together. These type of entities. You can see them. They're there. People have had contact with them in dream states and meditations and stuff. It's very interesting. And you say primary means first, the first beings. Yeah, it's interesting. They're like, it's weird, man. Let's see. I'm going to keep going through some of these comments here at the last few minutes of the podcast. This is a link zooming into a leaf. I'm tripping. Ali shared. Let's see. It's just so. Zooming into a leaf. Let's check it out, guys. Let's react. That's not real. It's CGI. But still, it is. It's going to just keep zooming and zooming and zooming and zooming. Those are universes and worlds, man. Worlds within worlds. And each level or each dimension has beings. And those look like some kind of monsters or something that you have to deal with at that level. And they have roles. They clean up. They preserve the earth. They preserve the dimension. And then is this the last dimension, or is it going to zoom in again to some other guys who operate on that dimension? That's when we're talking about vibrations. We're talking about levels of density. What level you're vibrating at? Which one of these planes are you operating on? Which plane do you have permission to be in because you're able to operate on that level? That's what we're talking about, vibrations. A world inside of the world. Welcome to the land of the alive. Yep. Man, elemental beings. I mean, so there's entities on each level. I mean, we've seen it. Like, it's a scientific fact. Like, what beings are operating here? It's obviously not just us. We go just a little bit deeper, just as far as like on the microscopic level, we see stuff there. But what about in the spirit realm? What about those who they're just on a different density that we can't see with the naked eye? I mean, if we look into the different frequencies and things that are being transmitted even around this room that I'm sitting in, or your cell phone. How are you picking up this signal? I'm broadcasting from a central location, but you guys are watching me live in real time on your cell phones and on your computers. Like, how is that? Like, there is electromagnetic frequencies that you can't see with the naked eye, but you can experience it. And there's just like that there's other entities that are at play here. We're talking about the ones that are over the different kingdoms. What about the ones who guard over the plant life? What about the ones who guard over the water and the fire and the air, or the elemental beings? The Bible even talks a little bit about the rudiment elements of the world, and it's talking about the elemental beings that are over the kingdoms. If you look at any ancient commentary, some of the earliest stuff, it talks about the elemental kingdom and the beings that are over those realms, and they make sure that everything goes as planned. We're talking about the book of Enoch and stars, and they believe in Enoch it says that the stars record the deeds of mankind, and they report it back to the Father that every night. They have different things that they're supposed to do. They're traveling the universe. They're bringing messages. Some are delivering prayers, like all types of stuff. And there's entities and there's worlds within worlds. And it's interesting to me. It's beautiful. Danny says, has anybody seen Above Majestic? I've seen half of it, Danny. Seen half of it. But yeah, there's some good chat going on here, man. I wish I can answer all of it and jump to it, all of it. But another 3-hour podcast. Look at the time. Y'all got stuff to do. What are you doing sitting here talking about aliens? You got stuff to do, man. Go do it. Or listen to another episode if you're listening to this on the smartphone. If you scroll down a little bit further, there's another episode. Some interesting ones out there, to say the least. I've talked to some, and I just look back, man, my catalog is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Like some of the early shows, man, like I've talked to some really cool people. The fun ones are I kind of know what to expect, and I go in with a game plan to some of those. Like, what's her name? The little old lady. Somebody bring it up because I don't know right off. The little old UFO lady that I interviewed. What's her name? I know Garner knows it. For some reason, her name is just slipping my mind. Really, Mary Rodwell is her name. That interview. Like, that was a beautiful interview. Some really awesome people that I've interviewed. But I kind of have a game plan going into some of the ones that I know. The interesting ones, for me, maybe for you too, are the ones where I don't know the people, where I didn't do the research, where I was sent an email or whatever the case is, or it says, hey, they're experts in this and this. Would you like them to come on the show? When I book a show like that with a guest and I don't know what to expect and we're just exploring together, like I just have it's not like I'm just in the dark. I do have a premise, like, okay, they're into this, they have a book called that, and I don't sit there and I don't have time just to do all these research on every guest. I just don't, man. And get the show ready and do show notes and write a blog and do SEO and get it all out and make music and do meditations and do that. I don't have time for it, man. I have to choose wisely. So it really does make for an interesting interview when they bring something beautiful to the table. So, which I enjoyed this conversation today with Craig and a bunch of other ones. Again, we covered a lot of topics, man. I hope you guys got something out of it. Patreon, head on over there. Support, even if it's $1. $1 goes a long way these days, guys. Whatever you can do. Ren says, it's just nice to have a conversation. It's okay. Yep. If you guys can join us for our Sunday meditations as well. We're doing holotropic breathing and breath work, guided meditation, all that stuff. And the the Sunday Seer class. If you can join us for that, like I said, it's $12 a week, and it'd be awesome to see you there. And I'm gonna be still there may even be multiple sessions of that per week, if my wife lets me. You know, it is what it is. I love y'all, and we're gonna do it again very soon, actually, Thursday. Santiago, get with me, man, about coming down and going to interview that dude, man. If you want to do that, it'd be awesome. Let me know, G. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. I'll holler at y'all later. Bye-bye. Uh-oh, that's not the...
Your way so much higher than mine. So much higher than mine. So much deeper than mine. So much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.